Heading toward the end of the Atlantic 10 in-conference schedule, we now hit quite possibly the most pivotal part of the season. The champs are in town. The defending A10 champion St. Louis Billikens come into town to take on the in-form Fordham women's basketball team in the friendly confines of the Rose Hill Gym. Fordham currently riding a 3-game win streak, including their must-win game at St. Bonaventure being their first road win of the season. They look to continue their hot streak tonight. On the other side, St. Louis has had mixed success this season with a 6-8 conference record. Coming off a home loss to Duquesne, the Billikens would love to get back on track just in time to try and defend their conference title. It's Atlantic 10 women's basketball between the hosting Fordham Rams and defending champion St. Louis Billikens, and it's next on WFUV Sports. Welcome to the beloved Rose Hill Gym on the campus of Fordham University in the beautiful New York City borough of the Bronx. We're joining you here for a pivotal A10 women's basketball matchup between the traveling and defending A10 champion St. Louis Billikens and the Bridgette Mitchell-led Fordham Rams. I'm Chris Carrino, joined, of course, by Julia Moss. Julia, Fordham seemingly getting hot at the right time right now. Only 4 games left on the Rams' A10 in-conference schedule, including this one. Heading in the Atlantic 10 tournament, they're currently riding a 3-game win streak, including their last win at St. Bonaventure being their first win away from home this season. It seems like this Fordham team playing their best brand of basketball at the best possible time.
Absolutely, Chris. Fordham is riding the most momentum we've seen this season, as the pieces that they put together this during the offseason are finally seeming to fit together, and there's no time like the present, as you mentioned. They're making a last-ditch effort to climb the A10 ranks before the tournament. They currently sit 10th, but with a win today, there's a lot of chance for movement up the A10 ranks, and I feel like we can't go a second longer into this broadcast without discussing the Taya Davis masterclass we saw just a couple of days ago. 25 points, 9 for 12 shooting, didn't even attempt a single three, but able to get 25 points on the board. Really just a spectacular performance.
And for the Billikens of St. Louis, coming off one of their most miraculous seasons in A10 history, barring all programs, rallying behind their first-year coach, Rebecca Tillett, after a 7-16 start to win their program's first A10 championship and first NCAA tournament berth. This season, they've had a bit of a middle-to-the-road success with an 11-16 overall record and a 6-8 record in the conference. Julia, St. Louis, they would love to bring that momentum with a road win toward the end of the season, pushing into their first defense of the A10 championship.
Absolutely. St. Louis sits 9th in the A10, Fordham 10th. So there is a lot riding on this game this late in the season. And for St. Louis, you said it best. This has been an up-and-down season for them, but that's because they're kind of the opposite of Fordham. Fordham really good at defense, struggling offensively. For St. Louis, they have a good offense, but defense has been what's struggling. So they're going to hope to make this a track meet today. They have the 3rd best offense in the A10 and an offensive weapon with Kyla McMakin. So certainly something they're going to try and push Fordham into, but on Fordham's side, they're going to try and slow down the pace, stop the offense, and work defensively.
We're going to have lineups in action in a few moments, but first, we got a chance to catch up with Fordham women's basketball head coach Bridgette Mitchell before the game. Take a listen.
Julia Moss with Chris Carrino, and we are joined alongside Fordham women's basketball head coach Bridgette Mitchell. Coach, let's start with the obvious. Taya Davis goes off 25 points, 9 for 12 shooting, not any 3 points attempted though. What was the reaction from you as the game progressed, as she continued to stay hot from the floor?
Yeah, we were really excited for her. Taya's battling a cold, and you know how, when you get a cold, you could either be a baby or you could go off, right? Like MJ, and she went off like MJ. So we were really happy for her. She actually got she got rammed at the end of the game, and so we're really excited for her. But it wasn't just her 25 points. She was really scrappy on the defensive end and got a lot of deflections for us, so we were excited about that.
Coach, obviously a great stretch for you guys right now. Specifically offensively, you're scoring a lot of points, and what I want to talk about is the variety in which you are scoring. How important is that variety? You've kind of touched on it throughout this year to your overall game plan on the offensive end.
Yeah, these past 3 games we've had 3 players averaging double figures, right? So that's what we're looking for and a team that we're trying to be. So we're going to look to do that again tonight, but scoring is pivotal to us being able to win games.
This stretch right now is seemingly the most momentum this team has had all season, especially in conference play. How are you going about keeping that momentum going into practices, in the locker room, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's big for us to focus in on the next. We've been fortunate to be able to celebrate these past 3 games, but in spite, like prior, we were having small victories, right? And we were celebrating little wins. And so now with the outcome on the scoreboard being what we want it to be, we've been able to celebrate and then change the page. And we've been able to do that successfully. And so really just looking forward to doing that tonight, putting together a good game plan in terms of what we have to do.
In your first A10 tournament coming up in a few weeks, what are just some components on either defensively or offensively you're kind of trying to iron out heading into postseason time?
Yeah, we're gonna rest. Yeah. We're gonna rest, and it's at this point we've played everybody, so we have a game plan for everyone. I do, like my staff, they do post-game breakdowns, and so we know what they tried to do the first time and what they're going to look to do the second to exploit us. And so we're just going to have our players rest and prepare them from a scouting perspective and hammer those things home.
Thank you, Coach. What's up, everyone? I'm Julia Moss, one of the hosts of WFUV's women's sports podcasts, All In. Join us each week as we break down everything from the WNBA, women's collegiate sports, the NWSL, and so much more. We're also joined by recurring hosts including Maddie Bamonte, Taylor Masetta, Sam Bohr, and Annabelle Watson. All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
Welcome back to the Rose Hill Gym. We're just about to get settled for some in-conference women's basketball in the Atlantic 10. We got some starting lineups for you. First, for the St. Louis Billikens, it's Kyla McMakin to start it off, along with Peyton Kennedy, Brooklyn Gray, Kennedy Calhoun, Markavia Shavers, rounding it out in the middle for the Billikens. And on the other side for the Fordham Rams, it's Matilda Flood, Mandy McGurk, Amita Lee, Taylor Donaldson, and Amy Hayford. Matilda Flood, one of the surprises in that starting lineup along with the rest of the regulars. But just kind of jumping into it, looking at this game from the bigger picture, Julia, we talked a little bit about A10 implication in the standings before this game. Just want to talk about situationally how important this matchup is.
It can't be overstated, Chris, especially at this point in the season. A win for Fordham would tie them for 8th place with St. Louis and Davidson. And if we're being technical here, Fordham has wins over both of those teams, so that would put them in that 8th spot if things held up for the rest of the season. So the roof for Fordham, the ceiling, if you will, is very high, but the floor is also pretty low because the A10 has so much parity. It's so tight, especially in the bottom half of the conference. So for Fordham, this is absolutely a necessity to win this game and keep the momentum building.
Yeah, and one of the components that we talked about being so important before the game with Coach Brissette Mitchell was first the defense. That was something she said had been most improved on from this team from the beginning of the season. But a point that I think is even more interesting is when she talks about the scoring coming from different avenues. Obviously, Taylor Donaldson has been the engine that has let this Fordham offense go throughout the entire season. But now there's a real versatility to the scoring, and it's seemingly helping out the Rams in a big way on the offensive end.
it's just seeming that in each and every game, players are understanding their role more and more and more. And it's been amazing to see for fans of this Fordham women's basketball team, because you look at the beginning of the season when they started A10 play, it didn't seem very pretty. That's putting it lightly. So as they've started to grow and grow, this is the best basketball they've played all season, and I think it's absolutely undisputable. So for them today, it's a matter of keeping that momentum going, and as we're seeing the starting lineup come out now, you mentioned Matilda Flood. I think I want to talk about that for just a little bit longer, because she went through a stretch where she didn't play more than 5 minutes a game. She slowly built up those minutes per game. She's such a threat under the basket defensively. She's this team's top rebounder, even not starting. So to see her get the start today, kind of shaking it up with that 3-4 guard play, it's good to see.
And a surprise on the other end for St. Louis, Julia Martinez, a player we talked about in-depthly before this game. She's #1 in assists per game in the conference, along with a few other stats, including 20th in rebounds in the conference as well. She is a difference maker for the St. Louis Billikens team. She'll be playing that 6-man role tonight in favor of Markavia Shavers.
Julia Martinez has not started the last 5 games, and we've asked around a little bit trying to get an answer as to why, because you look at someone like Martinez, leads this A10 assists per game. As you said, she barely leads Taylor Donaldson in steals per game as well in the Atlantic 10, so she is very versatile on the court. So to see her lose that starting role 6 games ago now, certainly a little head scratching. The answers we've gotten in response of, why isn't she starting, have been a little bit vague, including from St. Louis's head coach. So she's going to play that 6-woman role today, but if you ask me, it's a little head-scratching she's not in the starting lineup.
Pink game here in the Rose Hill Gym. There's seemingly pink everywhere. Pink pom-poms in the crowd, along with pink on the sideline of the Rams, with their fight in the eye being made into a breast cancer ribbon. A lot of festivities going on here in the vein of pink.
Yes, except for the uniforms.
Yes.
We're used to seeing the pink jerseys from Fordham, but they've opted for a third alternative black jersey, which I can say certainly a good decision there as well, because those jerseys are sick.
Yeah, wearing their home white here tonight. Fordham going right to left. Both teams in pink headbands. Fordham wearing some pink sneakers as well. Almost every person on the Fordham squad wearing pink sneakers. The jump ball goes in the favor of the Billikens. And their offense is moving. Calhoun has it on the left wing. Now drives in the left lane, looking for a pass inside. Eventually gets it in, and then Calhoun passing it around the free throw line, back inside, missing, swirling all the way around the rim, and it's going to stay here with St. Louis. Markavia Shavers, with her back to the rim, tried to put one up, hit every part of the rim but the net. It'll stay under the basket with the Billikens. McMakin passing it back out to Shavers, back top of the key to Gray. Gray passing backdoor to Kennedy. Kennedy finishing at the rim. Impressive pass.
Absolutely an impressive pass there. The backdoor cut working to perfection there. Gets the easy 2 points to start scoring for St. Louis.
McGurk now has it. Deep on the right wing. Looking around off ball. Taylor Donaldson taking a 3 on the left wing. No good. Offensive rebound. Another chance for the Rams. Amy Hafer, top of the key. Pass in the corner. Left corner, Mandy McGurk. No good off back rim. Taylor Donaldson almost secures another offensive rebound. And I believe she did. And a foul call. It'll be a push called on Kyla McMakin. And Fordham will retain the ball.
Good effort by Taylor Donaldson there. She's struggled from the field the past few games, but she has let her presence be felt in the rebounding category, as we saw there.
Amy Hayford inbounding Taylor Donaldson. Back to Amy Hayford, driving right wing and finishing with the right hand at the rim. Amy Hayford.
Amy Hayford so good at extending her arms and using all of her wingspan to get past defenders.
McMakin deep on the right wing, double teamed by Donaldson and Flood. Now driving. Passing on the right elbow, Shavers. Shavers tried to dribble inside, but I believe a carry was called, and it'll go back to the Rams.
And this is exactly what Fordham is hoping to do, limit the amount of possession St. Louis has, because if they can shut them down offensively, St. Louis's defense really struggles.
Especially with how fast the St. Louis team has played all season long. Amy Hayford has it in the left corner. She'll take the 3 and hits. Wide open and connects.
And we're seeing Fordham implement the full court press from the tip, which is an interesting and aggressive sign and really shows what their game plan is going into today.
Mandy McGurk tipped that pass in the hands of Rebecca Tillett, head coach of the St. Louis Billikens. It'll stay with St. Louis. It'll be Peyton Kennedy taking it out right in front of her coach. And Calhoun will inbound it. Giving it to McMakin on the right wing. Now drifting toward the top of the arc. Pass to Kennedy. Kennedy ball above her head to Gray on the left wing. Now back top of the key, Shavers. Dribble handoff, Calhoun. Calhoun had it at the free throw line. Tried to get it inside the Shavers. Intercepted. Now Fordham the other way in transition. Hayford spinning on the left block. Eventually gets called for the foul. I think that one's going to go on Peyton Kennedy. And Fordham will have the ball once again.
Great start for Fordham defensively. A goal of head coach Bridgette Mitchell is to make them shoot from the three, but they haven't even had to try yet because they've been forcing so many turnovers, and St. Louis leads the A-10 in turnovers per game. Lee
pump fakes right in the middle of the paint and takes the jumper. It's good. Lee, impressive footwork in there, and that brings Fordham out to a 7-2 lead, the highest lead of the game so far. McMakin splitting the defense on the right wing at the free throw line now, passing inside to Kennedy, finishing, and the foul. And Kennedy's going to go to the line to try and complete her three-point play. It's 7-4 Fordham with 7:26 to go in the first quarter.
Frustrating sequence of events for Amina Lee. She gets the basket on the offensive end, tries to vie for the foul call on her, hustles back on defense and fouls herself, sending St. Louis to the line for the and one opportunity.
Julia Martinez checking in for Markavia Shavers as the free throw is good from Peyton Kennedy. Last year, she led the team in field goal and free throw percentage as Taylor Donaldson hits a three right away from the right corner. Taylor Donaldson wasting no time to get on the scoreboard today. Martinez, lob pass into Gray on the right wing. She'll go cross court. McMakin left corner three, and she has a foot out of bounds, and that'll be another turnover for the St. Louis Billikens.
And Fordham's bench was not going to let that go unnoticed. Everyone off the bench pointing to the line as soon as she got the ball with her foot on the line. Refs noticed it too. Fordham basketball.
It's going to be a full timeout in favor of the Fordham Rams. Coach Bridgette Mitchell wants to take a break, so will we. You're listening to Fordham Women's Basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Will Grant.
And I'm Chris Persianen.
And we're two of the hosts for WFUV's very own basketball podcast, Pick and Pod.
Tune in weekly for updates and our takes on the latest around the NBA, as well as exclusive insight from our very own Knicks and Nets beat reporters.
We'll have you covered on everything from all of the NBA's latest drama we know and love,
to debating all year long which team will get to lift that golden Larry O'Brien in June.
So don't miss a beat from the hardwood on WFUV's Pick and Pod.
(10-5) Fordham leading over the St. Louis Billikens here in the beloved Rose Hill Gym on this cold and gloomy Wednesday night in the Bronx. Fordham impressing early in this first quarter, and Fordham fans at home have to be at least a little bit satisfied with how it's gone so far.
This is a Fordham team that struggled to score all season long. 10 early points in the first quarter, 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. Don't look now, but this Fordham team is shooting pretty well for what we've seen at the beginning of this season. Amy Hayford off to an excellent start as she's had herself quite a string of games at this point. Taylor Donaldson as well, 1 for 2 from the field. Important for her to get a basket early to kind of shake off what's been not her best shooting performance the past 3 games, which is surprising considering they've gone on a 3-game winning streak. But nonetheless, if you're Fordham, you want to be able to take control of the game, win, and have Taylor Donaldson playing well.
Yeah, Taylor Donaldson, that's one of the narratives that we've talked about in this 3-game winning streak with maybe the most momentum of the season. Their best player, Taylor Donaldson, only averaging 12 points compared to her on the season, 17 and a half. A person who's really picked up the load for her and scored in bunches over these last 3 games, specifically over this last 3 games, has been Amy Hayford. She already has 5 points today early on, and she has done a fantastic job over the last couple games in the absence of some of the scoring from Taylor Donaldson.
We saw hints of it at the beginning of the season, right? The first couple games, she was a leading scorer. Taylor Donaldson kind of took over her role for a good brunt of that middle part of the season, but now I think in Fordham's dream scenario, Taylor Donaldson and Amy Hayford, it doesn't have to be which one is going to score the most tonight. Them working as a partnership on the court to score together is exactly what Fordham is trying to build towards, and we haven't seen it perfectly besides that Davidson game, but outside of that, it's something they're absolutely working towards, and Amy Hayford on a tear right now. It's just a matter of Taylor Donaldson getting up to that level as well.
Yeah. Right now, as St. Louis, a bit late coming out of their huddle, seems like Coach Tillett may have a few words for them. Not happy with how they've started so far, as Matilda Flood inbounds to Mandy McGurk in the backcourt. Now entering the front court on the left side, right in front of us. Now passing on the left wing, Taylor Donaldson. Back top of the game, McGurk. Lob pass back to Taylor Donaldson. Hot potato for these two. Now cross court, Amy Hayford on the right wing. Now driving middle, still top of the arc. Now meeting a double team on the right wing, finding Lee. Lee pump fakes, then puts up a shot, hits side backboard on the right side of the rim. Now St. Louis moving the other way offensively. Calhoun driving through the left lane in the right corner to Gray. Her three, no good. Air ball. An offensive rebound attempt by Calhoun, eventually in the hands of Taylor Donaldson. Now Mandy McGurk on the right wing. Now stopping back out to Matilda Flood. She'll drive through the right lane, seemingly with no trouble, and finishing with the right hand at the rim. It's now Martinez making a far pass to McMakin, left corner. Pump fake, no good on the shot. Had Matilda Flood flying the other way. Martinez gives it back to Gray. Now top of the key, Calhoun. Back to Gray. Makes a little dribble move, getting past Lee. Back inside Kennedy. Kennedy works on Lee. Couldn't get the shot to go. No good. Now Calhoun has it on the free throw line. Back out to Gray. Top of the arc. Now Martinez waits and observes the rest of the court. Stops free throw line. Back Kennedy, right wing. Her three. It's good. Nothing but net for Peyton Kennedy. And St. Louis is back within 4.
Peyton Kennedy coming off a career-high 31 points in what's been a breakout season for her.
Taylor Donaldson, top of the arc to Amy Hayford in the left wing. Now driving baseline side, back in the left corner, Mandy McGurk. Around to Matilda Flood screen, now middle of the lane. Tried to send a bounce pass into Lee, couldn't get it to her. And now Martinez for St. Louis going the other way. Stops, turns around at the top of the arc. Dribble handoff to Kennedy, another dribble handoff to Calhoun, moving right. Now on the right wing. Now driving through the left lane, tries to put up a left-handed layup, and it's good. A circus layup there for Calhoun. And St. Louis is within 2 points. It's now 12-10 with just under 5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Something St. Louis has been doing on the defensive end that's a bit surprising is they're working to kind of flash trap both Amy Hayford and Taylor Donaldson every time they get the ball on the wing. Every time either of those players touch the ball, they are double-teamed immediately. So for Fordham, it's a matter of recognizing that's going to be their game plan moving forward, because you have someone like Matilda Flood. You saw it. She got a wide-open layup down the middle of the lane because they were so focused on those two other scorers on the wing. So for Fordham, it's going to be a matter of trying to get those tertiary players involved here, because they have proven that they are going to do everything they can to stop Amy Hayford and Taylor Donaldson.
30-second timeout there for St. Louis. Back to action now. Fordham started out this quarter well, really dominating 7-2 to start the quarter. Now St. Louis clawing all the way back in it, 12-10. 4:48 in the first quarter as a lob pass sent into Amy Hayford. Now top of the key, Taya Davis sent it on the right wing to Harris. Harris from the right elbow traveled in the lane, and it'll go back to the Billikens.
St. Louis playing some inspired defense. Every time a player touches the ball, they are playing aggressively and showing it there. Kayla Harris getting a little frazzled by the defense, travels before she's able to get a shot up.
Defensive effort seen in bunches from both of these teams. Martinez has it left corner, left wing to Calhoun. Calhoun pump fakes the pass, then gives it to Clegg. Clegg no good in the left corner from 3. Now Matilda Flood picks it up and will take it herself. and stripped from behind. Eventually Calhoun picks it up for St. Louis, and now they're moving the other way in transition. Nice pass and finish from Martinez, and St. Louis has tied this game 12-12 with 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. Taya Davis bringing it up for Fordham, standing on the Ram now giving it to Harris. Harris has it right behind the left elbow, now back to Taya Davis in the left corner. Taylor Donaldson driving baseline side, reverse layup on the other side of the rim, gets it to go. Impressive play from TD. Martinez on the left wing looking behind her. Now top of the arc, passing to Kennedy. Kennedy on the left elbow to Martinez. Martinez back out to Clegg. Clegg in the left corner, Calhoun takes the three, no good with Matilda Flood right in front of her. Now Amy Hayford for the Rams, coming the other way with speed. Fakes with her right hand, then gets stripped by Calhoun. Eventually, I'm not sure, I couldn't see what the call was.
It's going to be a foul on number 4, Kennedy Calhoun for St. Louis. Just getting, going for the loose ball there, a little aggressive, gets the foul. Taylor Donaldson lucky to be on the receiving end of that foul because that was really up for grabs for anyone.
Mandy McGurk subbing back into the game in favor of Amy Hayford going to the bench. Taya Davis will take it out under Fordham's basket, or under St. Louis's basket, my mistake. An offensive foul called off the ball on the inbound. Believe that one is going to go on number 3, or
Taylor Donaldson.
Taylor Donaldson. Oh, okay. Yeah, Taylor Donaldson trying to get free around the right elbow. Couldn't quite do it cleanly.
St. Louis did a good job there of clogging the lane, making it difficult as...
Yeah, I didn't think she said number 3. She gave 2 5-hand signals. Believe this is going to stay on Fordham's side. I think the refs are as confused as we are on the broadcast currently. So they're going to send each team to their bench.
Are they reviewing this?
Yeah, to have an official timeout to get on the same page, seemingly.
The contact in question is absolutely with Taylor Donaldson and whoever she was running into. That's
I think
what
it was
they're going
Brooklyn
to
Gray, I believe.
Certainly an interesting situation here because Fordham looked confused. Taylor Donaldson looked confused. They accepted it. They went back to play on defense. St. Louis ready for the inbound, and then all of a sudden, we're getting the call over the overhead.
That one's on Brooklyn Gray, number 45, for the St. Louis Billikens.
Refs are human, too.
Refs are human, too, and so is Brooklyn Gray, the Wabash Valley College transfer, the GRAC Rookie of the Year last season, making an impact right away here in her sophomore season, averaging 11 points on 46% from the field for the Billikens. Taya Davis sending it in for Fordham. Taylor Donaldson taking a floater right on the A10 logo in front of the free throw line, and it's good. And Fordham bringing that lead back out to 4. It's 16-12 with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Martinez directing orders on the Block F Fordham logo. Gray has it on the right elbow. Pump fakes, shimmies, now passes it back out to Martinez. Bullet pass sent inside. Simon passing it back out to Gray on the right wing. Crossover around the right elbow. Turns back out to Clegg. No good. Bounces around the rim on the 3. Kicked it out to her. Now Taya Davis of the Rams coming the other way. Bounce pass sent inside. No good on the layup from Berry. And Taya Davis tried to secure the offensive rebound. Couldn't. And now there's a bit of a scrum going the other way in transition. Martinez picks it up and sends a bullet pass under the basket to McMakin. And St. Louis with a very impressive offensive possession.
Just a lot of chaos for Fordham there.
Taylor Donaldson driving baseline side and finishing with a pretty left-handed floater. Another floater for Taylor Donaldson. 18-14 Rams, 2:10 to go in the first quarter. Clegg passes it to Simon in the right corner. She'll take a 12-footer, and it's good. Simon with the jumper, and it's 18-16, and the scoring has definitely picked up in this one. Taya Davis, top of the key, pushed heavily by Clegg, right around the halfway line. Nice crossover move, and now back out to McGurk, left corner. That 3 is good. Created from the dribble move by Taya Davis, and great vision to find Mandy McGurk.
Such a confidence builder for Mandy McGurk there, too. She's had a tough shooting stretch this season from 3. Good to see it go through there.
Martinez, top of the key, decides to drive right through the middle of the lane, picks up a bunch of contact on the way there, and she'll go to the line for 2 free throws.
Not much you can do there for your Fordham. Julia Martinez, so good under the basket on the drive-in. Tries the Euro step. Kayla Harris does everything she can to stop her from getting to the basket, but unfortunately in the process fouls her. But listen, stop the basket from going in.
Yeah, I believe that one's on Taya Davis.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's one of those fouls in the lane where 2 people are kind of committing the contact, so it kind of is a toss-up who they give it to. Nonetheless, Julia Martinez going to the line. Julia had her first career triple-double in the A-10 title game versus UMass. Good time to have your first triple-double as she makes her first free throw.
St. Louis really ended a dynasty at UMass last season, the Sam Breen-led UMass Minutewomen, and that was really the end of what was a great stretch for UMass because you look at them this season, dead last in the A-10, a new coach, an entirely new team, kind of like what you see with Fordham, except Fordham's been able to string together some wins.
Seems like a new era, not only for these 2 teams, but in the conference of the Atlantic 10 as well. As Peyton Kennedy checks back in favor of Simon. Hayford now has it right wing. Passes it cross court left wing to McGurk. Back to Hayford. Now to Taya Davis, top of the arc. Double teamed by Martinez and Calhoun. Now McGurk sending a cross-court pass to Flood. Another cross-court pass. Amy Hayford, no good on her left corner 3. Tries to get the ball back after a rebound from Flood. Couldn't. Now Martinez going the other way in transition. St. Louis trying to score left corner 3. No good from Kennedy. Now Fordham going the other way. Amy Hayford splitting defenders, sending in an outlet bounce pass to Harris and a finish at the rim for Harris with the left hand. Cross-court pass to Gray. Gray, good on the right wing 3. Kind of been hesitant to take them. Finally takes one and hits it. Nothing but net. As Taya Davis now guarded heavily by Calhoun and Martinez at the block F. McGurk now has it. Tries to send it out in the right corner to McGurk. A kick ball violation called, and it'll stay on this side with Fordham.
This is a good break for Fordham here. They're seeming to get frazzled by the St. Louis defense. They're playing with a lot more aggression than they've played with so far this season. I don't think Fordham was expecting it, so it's good for them to get their composure back and really try to get an offensive play together.
McGurk gets it in the left wing, drives inside through the middle of the paint. No good off the left side of the rim, but Harris on the offensive glass to clean it up and put it in. 25-21 Fordham with 10 seconds to go here in this first quarter. Calhoun going to try and race to the other side, now on the left wing. Passes it in the left corner, McMakin. She doesn't get a shot off, and that's how our first quarter will end here in the Bronx. 25-21 Fordham, and all in all, an impressive quarter for the Rams.
100%. I mean, you'd like to see it be a little higher as far as the point total goes, but listen, 25-point first quarter for Fordham, that is not something to complain about. And all in all, really efficient shooting, 11 for 17 in that first quarter. 64% from the field. A really good quarter from Kayla Harris, Taylor Donaldson, Amy Hayford. And this is what you want to see if you're Fordham, because there is a lot of scoring by a lot of different players, all showing that they have the ability to, bear some of the offensive load, and that is not just Taylor Donaldson.
We'll have second quarter action in a moment with Fordham women's basketball, but first, we're going to send you back to the Rose Hill Studios with Ashley Wendt for the one-on-one scoreboard.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
The Atlantic 10 is seeing plenty of action tonight. St. Joseph's is looking to extend their win streak by playing against the VCU Rams, defending a close game, and they're trailing by 2 points. Also in Richmond, the Richmond Spiders are hosting LaSalle and are up by over 20 points. UMass is seeing a close game and are trailing against Loyola Chicago by 11 points. And St. Bonaventure is looking for a win against George Mason in hopes to end a tough losing streak, and they're looking at a close game with 4 points as a gap. Miami Hamilton out in Ohio is going against Dayton after the Davidson-Dayton game was canceled, and Dayton is lead-in with a 15-point gap.
25-21 after the first quarter here in the Rose Hill Gym. The Fordham Rams leading the St. Louis Billikens early heading into the second quarter. I'm Chris Carrino, joined by my partner Julia Moss. And Julia, impressive as we just talked about before the break for the Fordham Rams, but a lot that they have to worry about as well. Definitely not smooth sailing the entire quarter, and definitely a few things they want to iron out before this game's over.
Absolutely, because you look at players like Kyla McMakin, she is a sleeping giant as far as scoring goes. She's only shot twice today, made one, so she's shooting 50%, but you can definitely expect her to be more involved in the offense as the game progresses. She's not going to end the game with just 2 shots. So for Fordham, it's going to be a matter of making sure, even though she gets those shots, making them low-quality shots. That's the biggest thing for Fordham. And then, doing good on the rebounding, limiting St. Louis to a small amount of possessions, but for the offense, it's going to be a matter of actually converting on that end and making baskets. That's been a theme all season long, but particularly if they want to keep up with St. Louis, who's third best offense in the A-10, they're going to have to play solid defense, but more importantly, they're going to have to convert on the extra possessions that St. Louis is going to give them.
And 25 points in that first quarter for the Rams has to be one of the highest paces they're scoring at all season long. They have to have some sort of belief that if they continue this pace of scoring, that not only St. Louis, but maybe the rest of the conference can't really play with them.
I mean, if they go on a 4-game winning streak now, that can't ignore that at this stage of the season.
A lot of momentum on the line here in the Rose Hill Gym on this Wednesday night. Fordham going right to left, St. Louis going left to right. St. Louis in their road blue uniforms, Fordham in their road white. As we talked about earlier, pink game. There's pink spread throughout the gym in sporadic different places. But now Taya Davis getting it to Taylor Donaldson on the left wing as we start the second quarter. To Amy Hayford on the right wing. Now at the right elbow, Matilda Flood, no good on her jumper. 3 white Fordham jerseys on the offensive glass. No one able to hold on to it. It'll roll out of bounds. And actually, I believe, stay with the Fordham Rams.
St. Louis is not happy with that call, to say the very least, but good on Fordham for...
I don't blame them, to be honest with you.
Right. I mean, from our vantage point, it seemed like it was out on Kayla Harris, but refs have a better view than we do.
Amy Hayford under the basket, getting it into Matilda Flood. Top of the arc, she'll dribble handoff. Amy Hayford, left wing 3. It's good for Amy Hayford. Her 8th point of the night so far, and a 7-point lead for the Rams, 28-21 with 9:30 to go in this second quarter. Martinez left wing, now drifting top of the arc. Pass to Gray on the right wing. Back to Martinez. Now Calhoun sizing up Taylor Donaldson on the left wing to Gray. In the left corner, back top to Martinez. Martinez rips through, drives right lane. Now back out to Calhoun. She'll take a straight-on 3. No good off back iron. Gray on the offensive glass for St. Louis. Inside to Martinez, and she'll get fouled on the way up. And once again, the Billikens going to the free throw line. For everyone listening, Julia Moss gave a shrug after that one, an inaudible shrug.
Tough to really analyze that. I mean, nothing you can do in that position if you're Matilda Flood. Just put her hands up, really, and
pray.
What can you do?
Yeah, as Martinez makes the first free throw. I was trying to articulate the situation because you articulated it very well, just not audibly. As Martinez makes the second free throw, it's now going to be McMakin checking back in favor of Brooklyn Gray. McMakin, Virginia Beach native. Back-to-back conference titles, one in the Big South at Longwood with Coach Tillett. Last season at St. Louis in the A-10. Taya Davis now has it, top of the key. Pass all the way down inside. Harris fires it back out on the left wing. Donaldson, and she'll convert on the 3. Taylor Donaldson with another 3, and Fordham out to an 8-point lead, 31-23. It's now Calhoun receiving a dribble handoff. McMakin on the left wing. She'll try a 3. No good off front rim. Offensive rebound grabbed by Kennedy. Back out to Calhoun. Calhoun in the right corner to Kennedy. Kennedy backing down Taylor Donaldson. In the opposite corner to Martinez. She'll take a 3. No good off back iron for Martinez. And Matilda Flood sending a long outlet pass to Taylor Donaldson. And she'll finish with a left-handed layup. And she's down after the play, seemingly hurt. Her and Calhoun might have collided there on the way down. And I think a foul's called as well. I think it might be an and one.
It is an and one opportunity, but if you're Fordham, you are holding your breath right now. Taylor Donaldson still on the ground. Just a silly foul by St. Louis there. Just a breakaway layup that was going in regardless. No need to really foul in that situation as she gets up, is limping a little bit, but is going to take these free throws and hopefully stay in the game afterwards because they are hitting their stride right now. Taylor Donaldson and Amy Hayford as Coach Bridgette Mitchell calls her team in.
Seems like the referee's communicating something with her on the sideline. I think Taylor Donaldson might have to come out. I think Mandy McGurk's going to sub in for Taylor Donaldson here and take her free throws as well. Got to be honest, I'm not totally sure with how those rules work in comparison to the NBA. Usually it's a technical if you make someone else take a free throw, but don't believe that's the rules we're playing under here tonight. More communication between the referee and Coach Bridgette Mitchell.
If you're looking at the stats, Taylor Donaldson, a 74% free throw shooter. Mandy McGurk, 18 for 27, 67%. So not terrible by any means, but I'm sure you'd rather have TD taking the free throw she earned there.
As Mandy McGurk misses off back iron, and a foul is called under the basket against the St. Louis Billikens. Believe it's going to be a loose ball foul, and it'll stay with the Rams on this side.
Everything going right for Fordham right now, aside from the Taylor Donaldson injury, but she seems to be stretching out on the bench there. I'm sure she'll be getting back in the game in no time.
Yeah, she's on the end of the bench around a slew of trainers and coaches, including Coach Josh. Shout out Coach Josh, looking fly in his suit tonight. Yeah, it just seems like Taylor Donaldson trying to walk it off a little bit as the Fordham Rams have a mini huddle right on the free throw line. Just waiting for play to resume here.
A lot of stoppages for
I'm
mini reviews.
Not totally sure what we're waiting for here. Seems like players are going back into player mode. Taya Davis goes to inbound the ball, but still more discussion from the referee. Seems like it's finally over. We can get back to basketball now. Taya Davis going to inbound it under the basket. Fordham going for a bit of a box play here. Flood, Lee, McGurk, and Amy Hayford making up the blocks and the elbows of the paint. Still waiting for an inbound as the referee chats with Taya Davis out of bounds on the baseline. Finally inbounds the ball to her. Get back to action as a nice pass sent inside to Matilda Flood, misses on the layup. And now St. Louis coming back the other way. McMakin through the right lane, going right baseline side. Couldn't get the 5-foot jumper to go. And a foul called on the defensive rebound. Seemed like Kennedy trying to wrestle it, or Simon trying to wrestle it out of the hands of Hayford, and a foul called. That's going to be the third foul called on the Billikens. And Fordham and Taya Davis are going to have it going right to left. 33-23 Rams, 7:49 to go in this first half. As a tip made by Martinez and a second tip made by Martinez, Taya Davis eventually recovers, sends it inside to Lee in the right corner. Hayford, her three, no good on the three. McGurk tries to get the rebound, and it's going to be a jump ball called. McGurk securing the held ball call on the much larger Gray, but position arrow going the other way in favor of the Billikens nonetheless.
Chaos there on the offensive end for Fordham. Amy Hayford ends up with the ball wide open, probably a little excited there, sails it over the basket. Shocked how wide open she was.
Simon at the free throw line. Martinez now has it, top of the arc, in the right corner, inside on the left block, on the right block to Simon. Simon looking to pass, eventually dribble handoff on the right wing to Martinez. Martinez stops, top of the arc, Gray. She'll take a three. It's good. Another three for Brooklyn Gray. That one from the top of the arc. And St. Louis shortening the gap, 33-26, under 7 minutes to go in this first half. McGurk on the left wing. Now in the left corner, Flood. Back top of the arc, Hayford. Hayford driving through the left lane. Bounce pass sent inside the lead, but an offensive foul called on Hayford. She seemingly knocked over Shavers there, and it'll be going the other way. Back with the Billikens. It's going going to be Simon bringing out the ball in the backcourt for St. Louis. I believe it's going to be Martinez bringing it up. Julia Martinez skipping over the Block F logo, now going around a Shaver screen, still top of the arc. McMakin inside to Shavers, backing down. Lee on the right block, couldn't quite get it to go. Taylor Donaldson eventually secures the defensive rebound, sends a long outlet pass to Amy Hayford, and Amy Hayford scores on the other end with some nifty footwork. St. Louis needing to respond here, now a 9-point deficit for them. As Gray takes another three after the stutter step, no good on the right wing. And once again, Fordham has a defensive rebound, and they're coming the other way. Davis through the left lane, couldn't get the shot to go, flew all the way over the rim, but she'll be going to the line for 2 free throws.
Fordham just pounding the paint here. That's something that's so unique about this team is they have a lot of guards who don't really like to opt for the three-pointer. They like to get the ball at the perimeter, drive at an angle into the paint. Taya Davis so good at that this entire season. Oh my goodness, when the ball is in her hands, that crossover she has, get out of here. It is so good, and she's been able to utilize that time and time again this season. Does it there, doesn't get the shot to go in, or really even close if we're being honest, but gets the foul.
She'll take her first free throw, no good off front rim. Her crossover, similarly to how I heard someone describe Darren Williams' crossover one time, geometric. And I feel the same way about Taya Davis's crossover as she makes the second free throw, redeeming herself from the first. Her first point of the game as well, 36-26 Fordham Rams with just 6 minutes to go in the first half. It's the 5-foot pull-up from Gray, no good. Fordham once again with the ball. Taylor Donaldson bringing it up. Now receiving some contact, and that'll go the other way. Bullying over Julia Martinez, trying to get through the left lane. St. Louis will receive another chance.
Kayla Harris just sets her feet there. I'm not sure where the illegal screen or the foul really occurred. She was just trying to set a pick there. Absorbs the contact, given it was, she was running into Kayla Harris, but it seemed like her feet were set. Illegal screen, but ref saw something different.
Martinez, top of the arc. Foul is eventually called. Taya Davis getting a little too excited defensively there. Right in the middle of the Block F at center court here in the beautiful Rose Hill Gym. One of, if not the oldest gym in Division I basketball, up there with the University of Washington Huskies. Always great scenery for Fordham men's and women's basketball. McMakin giving it to Shavers in the right corner. Now Martinez has it. Bullet pass, tried to get it inside into Castro. Went through the hands of her right above her head. Fordham once again receiving the benefits of another St. Louis turnover.
The vision Martinez has is so incredible, though, because if that pass is completed, wide open layup under the basket. Julia Martinez so good at picking apart the weaknesses of defenses, and for Fordham it's been under the basket cuts.
That's good in the left corner from Amy Hayford. Quick three in that possession. And Fordham back out to a 13-point lead, the largest lead of the night so far, 39-26, 5:14 to go. St. Louis tries to get more points on the scoreboard as Martinez has it, top of the arc, spins at the left elbow, pass inside to Shavers, spins through the middle of the lane, couldn't get the layup to go. Now McGurk has it the other way. Moving from the left to the right side of the court, actually gets tripped up and stolen by Martinez. Martinez passing to McMakin on the left wing, pump fakes, then takes the three. It's good. The second time this game she's gotten Taylor Donaldson off her feet on a pump fake, and she gets that three to go. Matilda Flood, top of the arc, in the right corner, wide open is Taylor Donaldson. No good on the three. A bit surprising, but Fordham will get the ball back. That rebound went out of bounds off of Brooklyn Gray, and it'll stay with the Billikens. We'll get a timeout from the Billikens. And just more continuous offensive prowess from this Ram team, not letting up on the offensive end whatsoever.
And I think what's most impressive as the Fordham Rams are playing right now, it's that they're able to withstand the mini runs, the micro runs that St. Louis has been able to get on. Every time they get some kind of offensive consistency going for St. Louis. Fordham responds right away. We saw the lead get as big as 13, went down to 7, now it's back to 10. It's impressive to see that Fordham is able to not panic, not let the momentum continue, because at the beginning of the season, Fordham had a habit of letting other teams get back into the game and then run away with the game. That's been a huge point of growth for Fordham this season, is being able to be in those close games, but also be able to extend leads and keep leads, and that's going to be important as we look to the rest of this season, because the A-10 is so competitive. They're going to be playing in more and more tight games, so being able to have a game like this where they're up by 10 about halfway through the second quarter, it'll be interesting to see if they can continue this positive habit that they've kind of taken on in the past couple games.
Yeah, and it's an interesting point you make, Julia, kind of heading into Atlantic 10 time. You really want your team, especially with a first-year coach like Brissette Mitchell, to have as much experience in the crunch time as possible. It doesn't seem that way. It usually either seems that Fordham is handily winning or they're handily being defeated. Haven't really seen it go the other way. Do you see that being detrimental for them heading into tournament time?
Like, certainly you want to be able to win those close games.
Right.
I think Fordham, for them, it's going to be, they need that experience, and I think they're going to by the time the season ends playing in a close game, because, I mean, you make a great point. The past few games, their margin of victory in this win streak has been 19 and a half, which is insane if you think about where they were at the beginning of the season. But it could kind of be a detriment if you look at it that way, that, you know, those clutch minutes that you're playing, if you come out with wins, that's experience a team needs, especially at this point in the season. But I'm sure if you ask head coach Brissette Mitchell right now if she's upset that her team is blowing out every team that they played the past few weeks, she's not going to say no.
Right. And from the other side, putting myself in the perspective of the St. Louis players, obviously they have a large group who was there last season to win the A-10 tournament, one of the most miraculous seasons in the history of the conference. Has to be demoralizing this season, not really having that same success and really kind of getting beat on in a lot of different places in the Atlantic 10.
St. Louis had an up and down season last year too. They were the 3rd seed in the conference, which isn't terrible by any means.
And started the season 7-16.
Exactly.
As well.
So if you look at St. Louis, they had an incredible end to the season, but they still weren't by any means a premier team in the A-10, which feels weird to say about a team that won the A-10 last year, but they started out 7-16. So for them to be where they are now, I don't know if demoralizing is the right word. It's not exactly predicted either, but I think, you know, the truth is somewhere in the middle there, that this is still a team that is trying to establish identity and know how to build a winning culture. Because last season they started it, but it certainly wasn't expected.
Rebecca Tillett, head coach of St. Louis, only the second coach in D1 history to ever get 2 NCAA tournament berths 2 years in a row in 2 different programs. Very impressive stat. As a nice pass sent in from Amy Hayford to Harris on the left block, and a left-handed lefty finish from Harris. More impressive Fordham offense. 41-29 Fordham, 4:15 to go here in this first half. As Calhoun fakes the swing to the right, then back downstairs pass to Simon. Couldn't finish on the backdoor layup. And now Hayford has it going the other way for Fordham. Kicks it out to Flood, left corner to McGurk, top of the arc. Then finds Amy Hayford in the right corner. Pump fakes, drives inside, tries to get up a right-handed layup on baseline side. Couldn't get it to go. And now McMakin coming the other way for St. Louis. Their point leader, McMakin, 5th in the conference, as Simon receives a pass down and low on the left block. Misses 2 layups, and Fordham now has it coming offensively. McGurk on the left wing, top of the key to Harris. Harris to Taylor Donaldson on the right wing. Back top of the key to Hayford on the left wing, McGurk. McGurk to Flood, top of the arc, in the right corner. Hayford, pump fakes, now drives to the middle of the paint. Bounce pass on the left baseline to Flood. No good on the 5-footer. And now St. Louis receives the rebound. Calhoun and the Billikens going the other way, trying to score. Gray fakes the left corner 3, then drives inside. Now it's nice bounce pass sent into Simon. Couldn't hold on to it. And I believe a held ball is called on the floor, and that'll go back to the Rams.
Billikens are really shooting themselves in the foot, possession after possession. The passes that we're seeing on the court right now are exceptional. Right then, just a no-look bounce pass under the basket, what seemingly should have been a wide-open layup. Possession before, we saw 2 straight missed wide-open layups for the Billikens. Are doing everything right up until the shot.
And also these last 3 possessions, Julia, Tiara Simon has missed 2 layups and turned the ball over. Not having a great stretch as Matilda Flood cross-court pass to McGurk. Miraculously gets it to her as Taylor Donaldson takes the right wing 3 and hits wide open off the pass from Mandy McGurk, and that brings the Fordham lead out to 15, 44-29 with 2:30 to go in this first half. Martinez on the right wing. Now moves to the right corner. Pass up top to Calhoun, drifts to the left wing. Now Kennedy passing on the right wing to McMakin. McMakin and Flood struggling for the ball. McMakin eventually gets it back. Martinez bullet pass into Simon. Calhoun back to Martinez on the right wing. Pump fakes, then puts it on the floor. Bounce pass into Simon. Couldn't quite get it up in time. And a great defensive possession for the Rams. Their bench is fired up.
Another excellent pass by Julia Martinez that has no points to show for it. That's got to be so frustrating for Martinez and the Billikens because, as I said before, they are doing absolutely every aspect of the game correctly up until the shot. And just then, the shot's made, but just half a second after the buzzer sounds.
Crossover from Taya Davis on the right elbow. Pass in the left corner. Mandy McGurk, no good offside rim. Once again, the Billikens going to try and continue some scoring, get back into this one. Still a 15-point deficit. Pass on the left elbow to Kennedy. Kennedy looking for a pass, decides to shoot it. Doesn't get it, but gets her own rebound and puts up the shot and one on the shot. And she'll go to the line, try to complete her 3-point play.
Takes the lid off of the basket a little bit for St. Louis.
Truly.
They were one of their last 8 and scoreless in the last 3 minutes, so I'm sure Kennedy is excited to get a basket in for a chance for one more.
Kennedy, Peyton Kennedy, going to the line. She will take one and make it. Nothing but net. Absolutely pure from the free throw line. McGurk now coming quickly the other way for the Rams. Sprinting down the court. Now top of the arc, looking for her teammates. Inside, Lee spinning on Gray. Doesn't get the right-handed layup to go. Eventually fumbles with it. It'll stay with the Rams, and that one went off Brooklyn Gray. It'll be Taya Davis once again bringing it out parallel with the left block. Under the basket, on the baseline. Taylor Donaldson receives it deep on the left wing to Taya Davis. Taya Davis drives through the right lane and finishes with the tough right-handed layup. Martinez, bullet pass inside on the left block. Kennedy sends it outside to Calhoun. Inside, running baseline Martinez. Sneaky play from Martinez there.
Fordham continuing to struggle a little bit guarding that baseline cutter. They've gotten caught with an open player under the basket 3 or 4 times now.
Taylor Donaldson receives it on the left wing, pass top of the arc. Taya Davis, crossover. Now drives inside, overhand pass sent into Lee. Lee pump fakes, tries to get a shot up, but blocked. Now there's a scrum on the ground for the ball. And I believe possession will stay with the Billikens, or will go to the Billikens. Billikens trying to get back in this game, still a 12-point deficit, 46-34, 36 seconds left in this first half. Still a very impressive point total for the Rams.
Got to be up there with the most this season, especially in conference play. They're on pace to score about 90 points in this game, believe it or not.
McMakin on the right elbow, working on Flood. Eventually takes a few hop steps in the lane and called for a travel. And another turnover for this St. Louis team really hurt them down the stretch so far.
Kind of an awkward series of events for McMakin. Thought about going up for the layup, took the 2 steps and then thought better of it. But unfortunately, when you think better of it when you're already in the process of a layup, that's going to be a travel.
It's Taya Davis standing at the center court. Now drifting toward the right wing, now moving the other way. Oh, tried to pick it up, ended up losing it. Taylor Donaldson has it. She's getting double teamed in the right corner of the half court. Now in the back court. Went off a St. Louis player, so no violation, but the time will expire on TD. 46-34 Fordham going into the locker room for the first half. And Julia, before the game, when we talked to Coach Brissette Mitchell, if we told her how this first half would have went, she'd be very, very, very excited.
I mean, you look at 7 for 13 from beyond the arc. That is without a doubt their best shooting performance in a half so far this season. And for St. Louis, Coach Brissette Mitchell put it plainly before the game. She said, we want them to be shooting threes. That's the ball that we want them shooting in this game. We're going to defend as well as we can in the paint and force them outside the arc. And they've done just that, and they're showing why they did that. 4 for 13 from 3, and they've held Kyla McMakin to 5 points, Calhoun to 2. A lot of players, Shavers 0 points, not even on the scoreboard yet. So they have done an excellent job doing their homework on what St. Louis is good at and what they can exploit and what they're bad at. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Fordham hoping to continue their play in the second half. We'll have second half action in a moment after the break between St. Louis and Fordham. But first, we'll send it back to the Rose Hill Studios for the one-on-one halftime report with Ashley Wendt and Merrick Rhodes.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Welcome into the Rose Hill Studios for the one-on-one halftime report. I'm Merrick Rhodes, joined in studio with my co-host Ashley Wendt. Your halftime score is the Fordham Rams 46, the St. Louis Billikens 34. Before we get into our thoughts on the first half, I'm going to send it over to Ashley for the one-on-one scoreboard.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
St. Joseph's lost their win streak playing against the VCU Rams after defending a really close game, ending with an unfortunate 48-59. The Richmond Spiders hosted LaSalle and dominated on the court, ending the game with a score of 54-74. The Miami-Hamilton-Dayton game is seeing Dayton defending their lead of 31 points with a score of 63-32 at halftime. UMass is seeing a growing gap against Loyola Chicago, trailing behind by 11 points at halftime with a score of 22-33, and St. Bonaventure defends their lead against George Mason as they are looking at a score of 34-24 at halftime. I'm Ashley Wendt with your one-on-one scoreboard.
Thanks, Ashley. Once again, your halftime score is 46-34 in favor of the home Rams. The leading scorer at the midway point is Taylor Donaldson with 17 points. I'm going to open the floor up to you, Ashley. What are just some of your thoughts coming out of this first half that is obviously so positive for the Rams and something that is as if it's like a breath of fresh air, mixing up my words there, for this team that has had some struggles throughout the year? I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on the first half.
Yeah, I mean, a little biased because, Fordham, but you can see the girls struggling in the early part of the season, but I think offensively this game they're doing really well. I can see some struggle on the defensive side, but I think they are really good at working together, and they've definitely done their research before going against St. Louis. You know, they're taking St. Louis and they're fighting back, and I think that that's leading to a very positive first half with that big gap, and I think if they just keep up this pace, this second half is going to look very, very good and in favor of Fordham Rams.
Yeah, definitely. I think you nailed it on the head when you said that they've planned for this, and I know Julia said it coming out of the half, because when you look at these two teams, they're really kind of extremely different in the way they go about things. Fordham obviously struggling throughout the season to have the offense meet where the defense is, a very strong defense to say the least. And on the opposite end, St. Louis, such a high-powered offense. You have 3 starters averaging double-figure scoring and averaging 71 points a game. But the issue with St. Louis is that defensively they don't stack up. 340th out of 360 in terms of opponents' points per game. And really, Fordham has been able to hold down their top scorer. Obviously, the top scorer in the A-10 in McMakin, only 5 points at the half. Kennedy, 11 points. It happens, obviously, when you have so many scorers and you're able to shut down some other options. There's always going to be someone who's scoring, but limiting the rebounds is also a big thing, because there are two really good rebounders on St. Louis in Simon and Kennedy, and to combine, they only have 6 rebounds, and Fordham has impressed me really with the intangibles. I mean, it's my favorite stat in basketball is all the intangibles. I mean, Fordham leading in rebounding, leading in assists. They have more turnovers, but that's the one thing I'll give St. Louis. But I mean, across the board, they're really just outplaying St. Louis, and it's a breath of fresh air as well, because Fordham, I feel like throughout this season, has obviously a lot of new faces, new head coach. They've had some problems with playing sloppy basketball, and it seems like this game that's completely flipped on its head. And St. Louis is playing sloppy, and Fordham has been really able to take advantage of the sloppy basketball on the opposite end. But I think someone we absolutely need to talk about is Taylor Donaldson. Finishes the first half, 17 points, 7 for 9 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, she has been the star of this team throughout the season, when it's bad, when it's good now on this winning streak. She's been a little bit of a lower scorer in the winning streak, but some of the other aspects of her game showing through in the tough times for her scoring. But tonight, certainly scoring is not an issue with 17 points. What do you think it is about this matchup and how Taylor's been playing this year that leads her to being in the position where she is, where she's such an integral figure in this Fordham women's basketball team?
I think with all the changes made with the team this season, I can't speak what goes on in Taylor's mind, but I think she saw in the early half of the season that, they needed to get it together. They needed to work as a team. And I think with her skill set and her average points per game, I think she's took the step up as a leader, and she really helped put the team together. And I mean, her skill shows on and off court. I mean, she's a great person, but the amount of points that she scores, per game, you're always hearing her name. She's really rallying the team together. And I think just with everything, they're just taking it head on. And I think that this game specifically, you can see a big shift in how they're playing. And I think that's going to be major for Fordham Rams moving forward in the season.
Yeah, a bit of a shift in how they're playing. They're really focusing on scoring in the paint, which I like, because as Julia and Chris have been talking about in throughout the first half, is that this Fordham team really likes to get their points by driving the paint and getting points down low, and they've succeeded in doing that. 24 points in the paint to St. Louis's 14. I think Donaldson has obviously been the star of this team, but Hayford has been right there with her throughout the season, where it's kind of been the two of them a lot of times, and the rest of the team can't really keep up almost. But over the past couple games, you've seen Taya Davis do that, and you've had other people like Flood and McGurk and Amina Lee who have played a additional role to those two scorers that you have, and I think that's the one thing I would say I would like to see a little bit more of. Obviously, it's hard to ask for more when you're up 12 at the half, but if you can have some scoring from outside, obviously Taya Davis coming off a 25-point game. She's been averaging 12, 13 points over the last 3 games, this Fordham 3-game win streak. So if she could get going a little bit more in the second half, I think it'd be really beneficial for Fordham. But across the board, I mean, a really strong first half from Fordham, shooting 57% from the field, 53% from 3, very above what you'd expect them, especially from the 3-point stripe. I mean, when you're hitting 7 out of 13 of your threes and your opponent's only hitting 4 out of 13 as well, it really leads to the situation where they're in. There's been a couple of runs where St. Louis has been fighting back, but Fordham's offense is really, I feel like, at this point in the season, coming into their own, and we're seeing it right before our eyes. So before we wrap it up, I want to pass it back to you one more time. I'm interested to hear, what would you say, if you had to pick one thing, would be the key to Fordham continuing this success and ending the day with a huge win in A10 play?
I think the key would be keep playing how they're playing on offense, because they obviously did their homework. I mean, Taya Davis is really good with the assists. We got Donaldson with the points. That teamwork is really working for them, and I think if they focus on the offense, just like they have been, I think that will be the key. They can brush up a little bit on their defense, but how they're playing, they're so strong in their offense that I think that will be the key to their win.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say that I see anything wrong with the statement you made. I'd say on the defensive end, the key would be to continue to limit McMakin. She only has the 5 points and a half, but averages 17 a game throughout the season. So I'd say defensively hold McMakin, try and limit Kennedy in the second half. Obviously 11 points in the first, but that's going to be difficult to do. You can only guard so many players, but I'd say the intangibles. I'm always talking about them. I mean, keep out-rebounding them. Keep dishing the ball around. I mean, 15 assists in the first half is that's how you win basketball games. Mm-hmm. Continue to move the ball around. I mean, Taylor Donaldson, keep doing your thing. I mean, at this point, it's not a surprise. We've been waiting. She's had a couple of games without 20 points, and it looks like tonight that she is going to correct that. So I would say that the main thing is keep the good things going and maybe find some scoring outside of simply Donaldson and Hayford. But that's about going to wrap it up here for our one-on-one halftime report. 20 minutes of action left across the street at the Rose Hill Gym. I'm going to send it back to Chris and Julia, who will take you guys the rest of the way. We'll see you at the postgame show.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
Welcome back to the Rose Hill Gym here on the campus of Fordham University in the Bronx. 46-34 is the score. Fordham leads by 12 heading into the second half here over the St. Louis Billikens. And a really impressive showing from the Fordham Rams. And what stuck out to us in the first quarter was the pace at which they're scoring is just unbelievable.
Absolutely, and I'm going to get into this more in just a second. I told you right before we took the air that I'm going to have to take a second to talk about this. I have quite a few, not superstitions, but I have things that I do every game. For every away game, I try a hot dog. For home games, I try a different snack every game. And today, I decided, apparently stupidly, to try the Doritos Flamin' Hot Nachos. My mouth is on fire, Carrino. My mouth is on fire. These things are no joke. And you know what? You can say what you want. You can say I'm a wimp, but I just wanted to put that out there because we have quite a bit of time before the half starts back up. But yeah, I think that's something I want to get off my chest.
I think I'm the last person that can call anybody eating spicy food a wimp.
Oh, this is true. Actually, I want to speak on this too because Chris Carrino, my partner here, does enjoy a burger, and everyone does, but he enjoys...
Okay, we don't need to do this.
He enjoys a burger that's just meat and bread.
I feel like this is every hangout I have with my roommates.
Could be,
Yeah,
but it needed to be said. It needed to be said. But let's get back to Fordham women's basketball.
What I was going
to
say
let's hear it.
was I had a Taki one time and it almost ended my life. It was very close. So I can't. Well, my follow-up question would naturally be, if you didn't go for the wild card, what's the Dorito flavor what's the go-to?
I'm a plain enjoyer of the nacho cheese.
That's
why
I
thought Flamin' Hot nacho cheese might not be too far of a step outside of the regular nacho. But boy, was I incorrect.
You know what you get when you assume, Julia Moss.
I know the phrase.
Shout out to my mom as well. She says that to me constantly. But nonetheless, we'll get back to Fordham basketball. It's a 12-point lead heading into the half, as I brought up to you before the flaming hot nacho conversation. The pace that this Fordham team is scoring with 25 points in the first quarter, now 46 points in the first half. A staggering pace for them to score at. They're on pace to score almost 100 points.
Much like my mouth right now, this Fordham offense is absolutely on fire. They have been shooting the lights out from beyond the arc. 7 for 13, 53.8% for the statisticians out there. But for Fordham, it's been the culmination of good offense and good defense. And what a point, like right now, to be able to have a performance like this, because their defense the narrative has always been their defense is there, their offense is getting there. That first half, their defense is there, and so is their offense. And that is just an incredible sight to see if you're the Fordham Rams.
21 rebounds to 14 as well. Big discrepancy in the rebound column, but it's a lot of little things that's making Fordham, or giving Fordham this 12-point lead right now heading into the half. But on the other side, for the Billikens, we've talked about it, and you harped on it a little bit in the first half. They're not playing a bad game, and they're not playing necessarily below their standards in really any way.
They're not. The passing has been excellent, and honestly, they put Fordham on their back foot trying to defend the ball. So for Fordham, it's going to be about tightening that up because the Billikens have really been shooting themselves in the foot from that last step of making the layup. They've done a good job at putting themselves in position to get the shots that they want. They just haven't been making the shots. And for a Division I basketball program, you can just about bet and guarantee that that's not going to happen for 2 halves in a row.
That's the buzzer sounding, and that means we're ready for second half action here in the Bronx. I'm Chris Carrino, joined to my right by my partner Julia Moss. St. Louis, the Billikens in their away blue uniforms, and the Fordham Rams in their home white here in the pink game. Usually we've seen a couple times this year on the road, a few teams with pink uniforms in the A-10. Fordham deferred for black alternate uniforms, which I think me and Julia could agree are sharp.
We've called about just about every pink game in the A-10 besides our own, so I'm happy we're finally getting to call a Fordham pink game.
Yeah, and Coach Brissette Mitchell in very, not hot pink, but more of a calmer tone of pink pants. She looks wonderful as well. Amina Lee grabs it to start off the third quarter. She has it on the right block, backing down her defender in Martinez, and good at the rim. Count the bucket and the foul. And Lee takes advantage of the mismatch on Martinez, gets the and one to go. She'll try and complete it at the line.
Lee has been taking a beating under the basket this entire game without getting a foul. It's good to see the big woman get the call finally under the basket because she's been doing the dirty work all game long. Finally gets rewarded for it there.
Lee shooting 78% from the line this season with a follow-through that me and Julia Moss are big fans of as she makes that one.
She's the purest
shooting
form I've ever seen.
It's above her head, and she just has a nice follow-through. It's very satisfying to watch. Fordham coming in a bit of a press now, and it works. Matilda Flood with the steal. Tried to pass it to Mandy McGurk. She missed on her layup, and now St. Louis has it back the other way. Calhoun in the left corner. A foul is called. It's going to go the other way off the ball on that McMakin three. And Fordham once again have the ball. Another turnover for the Billikens. Matilda Flood bringing it in for Mandy McGurk. Mandy McGurk strolling over the Block F logo. Faking a dribble handoff to Amy Hayford, eventually giving it to her on the right wing. Going left around to Lee screen. Now Taylor Donaldson in the corner. Matilda Flood. Now drifting to the left wing, down on the left block to Lee once again, spinning and missing off the glass. Good defense from Gray there in the post. It's now Calhoun for the Billikens, moving the ball around the perimeter. Now on the right elbow to Kennedy, back to the left corner. McMakin, her three, no good. Off back iron. Gray receives the offensive rebound. Second chance for St. Louis. Couldn't get that shot to go from Gray. Another offensive rebound. Kennedy tries to get a shot up. That one doesn't go, and it goes out of bounds. It's going to stay with St. Louis. That's now 4 chances and 4 possessions they've had on this side of the court.
St. Louis is knocking on the door of shooting under 35% so far as they get their 4th chance to score.
Gray has it in the right corner, backing down now on the right block. Puts up a fadeaway shot, no good. Guarded by Lee heavily. Now McGurk has it, moving with speed for the Rams. Donaldson on the right wing, going around a Lee screen left. Now top of the arc, bombarded by Martinez. Eventually falls in the hands of Amy Hayford, top of the arc. Looks at the shot clock, now dribble handoff with McGurk. McGurk top of the arc. Now backdoor pass, Taylor Donaldson. She'll take a floater from the left block, no good, but Lee gets the offensive rebound and puts it back. A few coaches and players on the bench wanted the and one. Nonetheless, St. Louis has it the other way, and Kennedy takes the right wing three, no good. Rebound under the basket from McMakin, and a foul called on the way up. I believe that one is going to go on Lee, and McMakin's going to go to the line for 2.
This is starting to become a little reminiscent of the St. Bonaventure game just a few days ago. St. Louis is not able to really make anything that they're putting up. Gets bailed out with a foul call there, but they have been scoreless in the past 3 minutes, 11 seconds, have yet to score in this third quarter.
That first one's good for McMakin. First free throw of the game for her. 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist so far. Second one's good as well. 51-36 Rams. 7:44 to go in this third quarter. Mandy McGurk, top of the arc to Flood. Dribble handoff on the right wing to Donaldson. Another dribble handoff, top of the arc to Hayford. Hayford going through the right lane and finishing with the right hand with the layup at the rim.
Fordham scoring on what is my favorite play as a Memphis native that they so lovingly call Grizz. Shout out Memphis Grizzlies.
Shout out the Grizz. Shout out Gigi Jackson. Martinez has it, top of the arc. Inside to Gray on the left block, guarded by Harris. And a foul call on Harris as Gray tried to go baseline side. And that push is going to keep the ball with St. Louis.
Kayla Harris has been on the receiving end of a few ticky-tack calls so far this game. Really has just put her hands up to try and absorb contact, but the referee is interpreting it as a foul.
As the great Bill Raftery would say, nickel dimer. Martinez, guarded by Donaldson, tried to get a pass inside to McMakin. It ends up being intercepted by Harris. Now Amy Hayford with her head up, moving the other way in transition. McGurk sending a lob pass to Flood on the right block. Eventually she'll send it back out to McGurk, and she'll reset the offense at the top of the arc. Flood on the right wing, guarded by Gray. Passing to a driving Hayford. Hayford blocked at the rim, trying to go up for a right-handed layup. And I believe a foul is going to be called. That one is going to go on Kennedy Calhoun.
And just defeating for momentum because Calhoun thought she got that clean. Starts clapping to her team, trying to get something going. But just as this game is kind of gone for St. Louis, a late foul called against her.
First one no good, rattling in and out for Amy Hayford.
Amy Hayford literally laughing there at how deep that got into the rim, rattling out, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Second one is good. Kennedy Calhoun went over to the referee in front of us, looking for a bit of an explanation after the play as well. As the ball is inbounded to Gray, she receives a double team on the press in the backcourt from the Fordham Rams. Eventually get it up the court to Kennedy. Kennedy using nice footwork to get a shot up right in the middle of the paint, and that floater's good. Kennedy bringing the lead to 16 now, 54-38. Fordham Rams, 6:25 to go over the St. Louis Billikens. Taylor Donaldson received a backdoor pass, tried to drive toward the rim, but a travel is called on the way there, and it'll go back to St. Louis.
Taylor Donaldson took the handoff there, little excited to get to the basket before she put the ball on the ground. She took a couple steps, absolutely a travel, but kind of an awkward play setup there as she was just trying to get the handoff from Matilda Flood.
Gray gets it to Kennedy, top of the key Martinez. Martinez to Gray on the right wing. She'll take a three. It's good. The pump fake pass created enough separation with Flood, and she let it fly. McGurk once again controlling her offense, pointing directions. Giving it to Harris right on the left elbow. Now has McGurk on the right wing. Her wide open three, no good. And Harris receives the offensive rebound, drives inside, and finishes through the left lane. Impressive stuff on the offensive glass all night from the Fordham Rams. Martinez gets it up ahead to Kennedy on the right wing. Now Calhoun has it, top of the arc. Pass it, McMakin, left corner three. It's good, wide open. Referee calls it a 2, foot's on the line. Nonetheless, St. Louis brings it even closer now, 13, 56-43 with 5:17 to go in this third quarter. Harris to Donaldson, right wing, going left around to Harris screen. Now gives it to Harris, middle of the paint, back out. McGurk, left corner. Now drifts to the left wing. Tried to get it into Harris. Harris eventually gathers it, drives inside, tries to finish with the left-handed layup, no good. And now, once again, the Billikens coming the other way. Nice bullet pass sent in from Martinez under the basket to Kennedy, and she finishes. Now this lead is cut down to 11. It's 56-45 Fordham with 4:48 to go, and it seems like Coach Brissette Mitchell needs a time to talk it over.
It's hard to be too upset about things when you're up by double digits, but that's about the 4th or 5th time now that we've seen a wide open Billiken under the basket in transition. You've got to be better at getting back and hustling back on defense, even if the score is double digits, because if there's something we know about the A-10, a lead can go just like that across the league from 1 to 15. So for Fordham, they're going to need to get back on defense, as I mentioned, because those open give-me looks are going to add up, and you don't want to give something like that to the 3rd best offense in the A-10.
Absolutely, and you even talked about Martinez's passing and vision ability before that. Seems like it's maybe the biggest reason why St. Louis is where they are right now, cutting it all the way to 11. Her transitional vision and her transitional passing proved so important so far for St. Louis.
She's leading the team right now with 5 assists. No surprise there. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, she could be up to 10 right now if her teammates were scoring the basket.
And she leads the conference in assists per game as well.
Exactly. So they can't be understated. What she provides on the court, maybe not in the scoreboard, but setting her teammates up to score themselves. So for Fordham, defense for the rest of this third quarter is going to determine how the fourth quarter goes, because if they're able to keep this within above 10-point lead, that is a great sign heading into the fourth. But St. Louis, for the first time in what feels like this entire game, really has some momentum.
Yeah, and Fordham needs to go back to and stick to maybe some of the things that were working earlier on. That is shooting the ball efficiently, holding on to the ball, not being careless with it, and letting your great defense transition into offense through the transition as well. They need to get back to those laurels or those laws if they really want to continue to hold this lead, because the Billikens are showing them this lead is not safe right now.
I mean, they're on a 9-2 run in under the 2 minutes. So if that says anything about how this game can turn in on a dime, it's that stat right there. For Fordham, they started out the game uncharacteristically strong from beyond the arc, but since then they are 1 for 4 from the perimeter in their last 4 shots. So don't need to commit to the 3 that much. If it worked at the beginning of the game, great, but if it's not working now, I would say just abandon it, because they are so good in the paint and driving into the paint, as I mentioned, with players like Taya Davis, Amy Hayford, Taylor Donaldson. Getting those players back hot like they were in that first half is going to be essential in the rest of this third quarter.
And we talk about the transitional play and the vision of someone like Martinez, but I think one of the reasons and one of the components why St. Louis has played so well in this stretch has also been their defensive intensity. You said it at the beginning of the third quarter, but they show a real effort on the defensive end right now that is showing to really be effective.
Reminds you of the way Fordham plays a lot, in a manner of they don't let loose balls go, not dive for. They're just, every time a player on Fordham gets the ball, they are just all over it with a double team, sometimes a triple team. And Fordham needs to just pass the ball a little bit more. That's something they have struggled with this season, is passing the ball around the perimeter, getting players open. And I think St. Louis has done their homework and noticed that. But for Fordham, they've done a good job at getting around that for the most part, but they're going to need to do a little bit of a better job to contain, or to keep this lead and contain St. Louis.
56-45 Fordham, 4:40 to go in this third quarter. An array of dribble handoffs ends up leading to Taya Davis having it, top of the arc, step back, top of the arc. Matilda Flood now on the right wing. Taylor Donaldson going around his screen and pulling up. No good off the jumper, 1 step in front of the 3-point line. Now it's Calhoun through the middle of the lane for the Billikens. Back out to Martinez. Now Calhoun driving inside. Euro step to the left. Ends up getting stuffed by Matilda Flood. And McMakin ends up getting it back in the backcourt on the other end. Now Martinez top of the arc. McMakin passing in the corner to Calhoun. Back to McMakin. Tried to get it to Martinez at the top of the arc, but threw it over her head and out of bounds.
A mental mistake by Fordham responded to with an even worse mental mistake by St. Louis. As you can tell, McMakin is increasingly frustrated with herself, just sails the ball over her intended player's head out of bounds. So Fordham gets a gift here with possession. I think this is going to be big for Fordham to take a second, get a play call, get a second to rest, take a breath, and try and get something going offensively.
56-45 Fordham, 3:58 to go in this third quarter. We're going to take a little break from the Bronx. We'll be right back in a few moments. You're listening to Fordham Women's Basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's going on, guys? I'm Jack Warner, one of your New York Rangers beat reporters for the 2023-2024 NHL season. I'll have you covered all season long as New York looks to bring a Stanley Cup back to the Big Apple in Peter Laviolette's first season as head coach. Follow me on Twitter at Jack_Warner23 for live game updates, post-game media availability, and all things Blue Shirts.
56-45, Fordham leads the St. Louis Billikens here on this gloomy, cold Wednesday night here in the Bronx. A pivotal A-10 in-conference matchup for both of these teams. Both of these teams in similar positions in the A-10 standings. Just a handful of games to go in the in-conference schedule. A lot on the line, and Fordham really dominated in the early stages of this game. Now it seems the Billikens showing some life. Absolutely. For the first time in the past few minutes, we've seen St. Louis really be on the front foot, putting Fordham in uncomfortable positions. And for Fordham, good time for a timeout, because coming out of this timeout is going to be important for them to hold off St. Louis and make sure that this lead doesn't go under 10, because at that point, that's when the panic button starts to get hit a little bit for Fordham, because still a lot of ball game to be left here. 3:58 left in the third quarter. We have a full 10 minutes afterwards, so you know St. Louis has all the time in the world to not only make this a game, but take the lead if Fordham doesn't fix this quickly. And a long quarter it's been as well. Almost half an hour already, and it's still 4 minutes to go in the quarter. There's been some ref confusion along with a lot of timeouts, but definitely a long time spent in this third quarter. And tactically, good on Fordham, because if St. Louis is building momentum, you kind of want it to be stop and go, not have as much flow, try to disrupt St. Louis. So Coach Bridgette Mitchell has done a good job at that so far. And the longest quarter and easily the slowest pace of scoring for Fordham so far. Taylor Donaldson has it, top of the arc, around a Matilda Flood screen, gives it to Flood, top of the arc. Now McGurk gets it on the right wing, driving through the middle of the paint and sends a floater up. No good on the floater. Lee almost got the offensive rebound, couldn't quite reach it. 56-45, Calhoun passing to Martinez on the left wing for St. Louis. Now Gray on the left elbow, sizing up Lee, passing back out Calhoun, pump fake. Another pass to Gray, decides to take the left wing three. No good for Gray, right in the hands of McGurk. McGurk, long pass in front. Amy Hayford finishing with the right hand for the Fordham Rams in transition. 58-45 Rams, 3 minutes to go. Leading the St. Louis Billikens. Gray has it, middle of the paint as well, off the feed from Calhoun. Didn't get the shot to go, but a foul is called. She'll go to the line for two. That foul on Mandy McGurk. Felt like Gray might have sold that a little bit. Felt just a little bit of pressure on her hip from Mandy McGurk and went flying a little more than I think the contact would actually suggest. But nonetheless, if she put a little acting to it, it surely worked. Gray taking her first free throw. It's good. Brooklyn Gray averaging almost 12 points a game this year. 83% from the line. Very impressive percentage. As she's ready to take her second. It's good. 9 points and 5 rebounds for Gray as well. She's been one of their impact players down the stretch so far. Absolutely, and this is a St. Louis team that knows how to get to the line. They are first in the A-10 in free throws attempted. Davis guarded by Clegg, top of the arc. A few dribble handoffs. Ends up with Amy Hayford, top of the arc, moving through the left lane, pump faking, back out Taya Davis. Davis going through the left lane as well, stuffed at the rim. Martinez tried to hit it off Lee, going out of bounds. She'll take it, put up a shot, no good, gets it back, puts up another shot, no good also. There's a scrum under the basket. Seems like it'll eventually be a held ball violation, and the possession arrow in favor of the Billikens, and I believe this ball will be going the other way. Amina Lee wanted that basket so bad. She put it up, got the rebound back, and even if it might have been in her best interest to pass it back out, you could see in her eyes that she was not giving up that ball. She went up for the second layup. Unfortunately, didn't go in, but it was close. Calhoun on the left wing, guarded by Hayford. Back in the left wing to Clegg. Her three, no good off front rim. Rebound, offensive rebound from St. Louis. Another chance in favor of Kennedy underneath the basket. Now Martinez has it on the right wing. Looking inside, finding Clegg, top of the arc once again. Clegg passing inside to Simon, intercepted by Lee. Now Hayford running in transition. A foul is called as Calhoun falls, trying to guard Hayford in transition. and Fordham will have it in the backcourt.
Certainly something positive for Fordham. They finally defended that baseline cut appropriately there. Amina Lee able to cut that off as St. Louis saw it, tried to hammer it in for a layup, but disrupted by Fordham for the first time all game.
58-57 Rams, 1:47 to go in this third quarter. Taylor Donaldson going right around a screen. Top of the arc three, no good. A lot of contact. Lee gets the offensive rebound. Back top of the arc to Taya Davis, goes above her head, and she'll have to touch it in the backcourt and take the backcourt violation.
Amina Lee tapping her chest, saying that's my bad. Kind of a silly forced pass there.
Force is a good word for it.
She had all the time in the world there, too. She had about 3 inches on the defender guarding her. She could have taken her time a little bit more there.
Martinez in the left wing. Eventually back to Martinez. Picking up the ball now. Back to Gray, right wing. Pump faking, using jabs. Kennedy has it right wing. Guarded by the smaller Taya Davis. Back top of the key, Martinez. Martinez going all the way around through the right lane and got blocked by Taylor Donaldson at the rim, but a foul is called. Taylor Donaldson not happy about it, but it doesn't matter. Martinez going to the line for 2.
And it certainly was a foul, too. And to Taylor Donaldson's credit, she was just half a beat too late on the block there. Martinez able to get the shot up just, as I said, just a half a beat before Donaldson went in for the block. Gets her hand. That's going to be a foul all day. We can hear the contact hand to hand there, so I'm not sure why Taylor Donaldson was so beside herself in that moment.
As she makes the first free throw, she's 4-4 now on the night for Julia Martinez. Julia, we've watched a lot of, as she misses the second, rebound to Berry. Quick transition pass to Hayford. Hayford driving from right to left lane. Now pulling it back to the left wing. Back to Taya Davis, top of the key. Now left corner. Amy Hayford passing it low to Lee. Back top of the key. Davis. Davis resetting the offense, holding up a fist. Now going around a Lee screen left through the left lane, putting it up with the right hand, and a carry is called through the lane, and another turnover for Taya Davis. It'll be going the other way.
Coach Bridgette Mitchell, probably as animated as I've seen her this season, looking right at the ref right in front of us, saying, how are you going to make that call from over there when the ref right in front of the play didn't?
No good on the three from Kennedy from the right wing for St. Louis, and now Fordham with speed in transition. Taya Davis going through the right lane, tried to get it inside to Lee in the paint, couldn't get it to her, but a foul is called. I believe that one's going to go, not sure on who. Martinez is going to have a little private conference with her head coach, Rebecca Tillett, as Taya Davis goes to the line for 2.
And to go back to that play, head coach Bridgette Mitchell did have a point there. It's kind of impossible to make a carrying call from across the court when the ref right on the play didn't see it.
Taya Davis makes the second. Point I was going to make before, we've watched a lot of 8-10 women's basketball this year, Julia. I don't think many players impact the entire game the way Martinez does. She's really all over the place, making plays in every facet of the game, all game long tonight. Gray has it on the right wing, dancing on Donaldson, now moving toward the right elbow, taking the jumper, no good off back iron. And Simon gets the offensive rebound. Another chance for St. Louis. McMakin's jumper is good from the right wing. And now this lead's cut down to 9, single digits, 59-50 as the clock expires on the Fordham offense. 59-50, Fordham still leads, but that lead dissipating with the quarter as we head into the fourth quarter.
Undoubtedly Fordham's worst quarter, shooting only 13 points in that one, 5 for 16 from the field. But for St. Louis, it wasn't their best quarter either. They only scored 16 points. So for Fordham, it's just been a matter of neither team really able to get something consistent going in that third. It felt like the stop and go kind of consistency of that play really affected both teams, as there was really no flow from start to finish of that 10-minute spurt. 59-50
heading into the fourth and final quarter here in the Rose Hill Gym. Fordham Rams lead the St. Louis Billikens. We'll have fourth quarter action in a moment with Fordham women's basketball. But first, we're going to send you to the Rose Hill Studios once again with Ashley Wendt for the one-on-one scoreboard.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Dayton is still defending their outstanding lead of over 50 points against Miami Hamilton with a score of 93-38 at the end of the third quarter. Loyola Chicago defends their lead against UMass as they reach a score of 52-38 as they head into the fourth quarter. George Mason closes in on St. Bonaventure as St. Bonaventure leads 45-42 at the start of the fourth quarter. Now switching to men's basketball, the ACC is seeing Duke at the University of Miami with a nice-looking gap of 20 points. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Louisville Cardinals are going head-to-head with a score of 53-39, and Clemson at Georgia Tech defending their lead against the Yellow Jackets with a score of 56-40. I'm Ashley Wendt with your one-on-one scoreboard.
(59-50) Fordham Rams lead the St. Louis Billikens as we head into the fourth quarter. I'm Chris Carrino, joined by my partner Julia Moss here in the Rose Hill Gym on the campus of Fordham University. Thank you to Ashley for the wonderful one-on-one scoreboard during the break. But now, heading into fourth quarter action, Julia, this lead is getting smaller and smaller as the game goes on. This Fordham team needs to do something, not to stop the bleeding, because that seems maybe a little too serious, but to get back on the right track and gain some momentum.
It's kind of hard to analyze that third quarter, right? Because it was just kind of ugly offense from both sides, so you can't really point to any one thing that either team is doing particularly well, because both teams are struggling from the offensive end, or maybe you could look at it if both teams are picking it up defensively. I guess if you're a glass half full person or a glass half empty person, depends how you look at it. But I think the bottom line is this game is going to be won by the team that goes on a run in the next, I would say, 5 minutes, because if you're Fordham, if you go on a run here, you can really shut the door on any comeback for St. Louis. But if you're St. Louis, if you can go on a run right now, get a lead, it's going to be hard for Fordham to, withstand that as time ticks on in the fourth quarter.
Matilda Flood going to take it out right center court, right in front of us here on the left sideline, or rather the close sideline. Matilda Flood on the right wing, guarded closely by Kennedy. Now Taylor Donaldson has it on the right elbow, moving toward the left elbow and taking a jumper. It's good. Taylor Donaldson, smooth stuff offensively. Martinez has it for St. Louis on the right wing. Gray in the right corner, jab stepping a few times, then making it toward the right elbow. Back out to Martinez on the right wing, going left around a Gray screen. Now Gray takes the three, no good from the right wing. Rebound, McMakin putting it up, no good on the putback. Martinez ends up getting the loose ball back to Gray, sends a pass inside under the basket to Simon, and she doesn't get it to go after a few plays made with her footwork. Eventually, she'll dribble it back out to the top of the key, and Martinez will gather it right wing. In the left corner, McMakin takes the three, no good. About her sixth left corner three of the half so far. Taya Davis, handoff pass, now back to Taya Davis on the left wing. Crossover, driving inside through the right lane. Tried to finish with the right hand, missed the entire rim on the layup. Now Taya Davis tried to cross over inside once again, eventually gets it to Flood. Back top of the key to McGurk, her three, no good. And McMakin gets the rebound along with a forearm from Matilda Flood. Martinez, nice pass sent inside to Gray, middle of the paint. Taylor Donaldson ends up receiving it after it was coughed up, but once again St. Louis gets it back. It's like a game of ping pong right now. Martinez tries to send a bullet pass into the middle of the paint to Gray, ends up flying into the first row of cheerleaders, and Fordham will have the ball back, finally.
But neither of these teams want to score right now. From both ends, just unforced errors. It's not like either team is putting on a particularly intense amount of pressure. It's just a lot of errant passes going back and forth. Like you said, Chris, really just a ping pong game.
McGurk drifting toward the right wing. Now middle of the paint, back out top of the arc to Hayford, driving through the left lane, finishing with the left hand. Another impressive layup contested at the rim for Amy Hayford. It's now Martinez, top of the arc, guarded by Amy Hayford. McMakin, back to Martinez, still on the right wing. Now driving inside, McMakin in the right corner, her three, no good off the pass from Martinez, but an offensive rebound gathered by Simon. Pass eventually makes it to McMakin in the right corner, no good on that three once again. 0-3 in these last two possessions from behind the arc, but a foul called under the basket. I believe that one will go on Mandy McGurk.
Those last two corner threes from McMakin that didn't make either of them. Actually airballed the first one, but you can't get much more wide open than Fordham has left her on those corner threes.
McMakin receiving the pass on the inbound, couldn't get it to go, absolutely stuffed at the rim, and Matilda Flood finishing with a layup on the other end. Matilda Flood's two-handed layup brings Fordham back out 65-50, 15-point lead, 7:15 to go in the game. Martinez, top of the arc, on the right elbow to Kennedy. Tried to get it inside with a lob pass to Simon. She's caught amidst three different Fordham white jerseys. Tried to get it to the cutting McMakin. Couldn't get the shot to go, but it's fouled, and we'll go to the line again.
There's one thing St. Louis has done well consistently throughout this game. It's the off-ball cuts, and that's something Fordham has been a trend of hard to guard. I mean, it's just a hard thing to guard in basketball in general for a team that loves off-ball movement as much as St. Louis does. Fordham has gotten caught lost a number of times in this game, but for St. Louis, they've just had a hard time forcing Fordham to pay for those through made layups.
No good on the first from McMakin off front right rim. Second one is good. Nothing but net. 65-51, 14-point lead for the Rams over St. Louis. Just under 7 minutes to go as Lee gets it off the feed from Matilda Flood. Doesn't make the first, gets her own offensive rebound, doesn't make the second either. But now Fordham will reset their offense. McGurk will have it right on the Block F logo. Pass on the left wing to Flood. Dribble handoff back to McGurk, same spot. Back top of the arc, Donaldson. Donaldson gets called for the travel, tried to at least hesitate or pump fake and then drive, but a travel called, and the Billikens once again will set up offensive.
Kind of another ticky-tacky call there. I think she was just holding just starting her drive in. I'm not sure if she took steps at that point, but nonetheless, it's going to be St. Louis ball.
6:30 to go, 65-51, same score, Fordham leads. Martinez looking for a pass on the right wing. Eventually finds Simon on the right baseline. Another beautiful backdoor pass eventually gets scored by Kennedy under the basket. Amy Hayford receiving a double team from Simon and Martinez. Eventually get it into the front court. McGurk settles with it on the right wing. Back top of the arc, Flood. Flood on the right wing to Hayford. Hayford back to Taylor Donaldson, top of the arc. Now back to Hayford. She'll take a right wing three. No good. Bouncing off front rim twice. And Martinez eventually will get it back for St. Louis. And a foul called in the front court by Mandy McGurk. Martinez not happy about it, saying she got hit in the face. Mandy McGurk smiling after that. Not sure if that's an admission of guilt or not. But.
Kind of an awkward interaction there. Martinez right in front of McGurk, vying for McGurk to get a technical, but not actually looking at her, looking at the ref directly next to her. They're kind of arguing about each other without actually looking at each other. Definitely a funny situation there, but it'll just be a common foul.
Martinez, top of the key, on the left elbow, Kennedy. Back out to Martinez, top of the arc. Back to Kennedy, now inside Simon with her back to Lee on the left elbow, or the left block. Now McMakin on the right wing, tries to drive inside. Now Gray, left wing, she'll take a three. No good off left side rim. St. Louis, open shots, kind of drying up here a little bit.
Absolutely, and for Fordham, it's just a matter of taking time off the clock at this point. You've got a 12-point lead rather with 5 minutes to go. Certainly, time is on their side.
Matilda Flood having trouble getting it into the front court, eventually does. Mandy McGurk guarded by Gray. Coach Brissette Mitchell telling them to go. Amy Hayford right wing, on the left wing to Flood. She'll take a three. No good. Rebound by Martinez. She's in the middle of 3 Fordham jerseys. Held ball is called. Martinez saying a not very nice word after the scrum, but position arrow in favor of the Billikens. And I believe a timeout. Not sure who called it. I think it'll be from St. Louis and Coach Tillett. And honestly, we thought that there might be some warning signs heading into this fourth quarter for the Rams, but they've handled it well so far. This first couple minutes in the fourth quarter.
I go back and forth on if it's Fordham handling it well or St. Louis just not able to convert on the offensive end, because they've gotten the looks that they want for St. Louis. They've gotten open corner threes and gotten open layups through baseline cuts. Their off-ball movement is absolutely amazing, but it's just the shooting aspect of it. If you're St. Louis, you have to be just so frustrated right now because you are getting each and every shot you want, and that's why as we look over to the Fordham huddle, it looks like Coach Bridgette Mitchell equally frustrated because she knows that Fordham is giving them the options that they want. But for St. Louis, they're just not converting those into points, and that's what leads to the score we're seeing right now.
Maybe the most emotion or character we've seen in a full game for Coach Bridgette Mitchell as well, whether it's her own players or the officials. She's been very animated tonight. She has, and I think it's just a product of how good they've been playing these past few games. I mean, there was a point in the season they're on a 6-game losing streak. They're 1-7 in the A-10 at one point. I mean, things were not looking very good for this team, but now that they are seeing the work that they've put in kind of culminate to good play on the court, you start to care a little bit more. You have more to play for. In Fordham today, they have a heck of a lot to play for. They can jump St. Louis in the A-10 rankings with a win today. So if you're seeing Coach Bridgette Mitchell more animated, it's probably because of that. They have a heck of a lot to play for today. And talking just slightly on a point you just brought up, the camaraderie of this group and the happiness of this group just plainly and blindly seemingly getting a lot better and really progressing as the seasons went along. And I think their play has gone up with those things as well.
100%. I mean, some people forget as the season has gone on that none of these players knew who each other were, 10, 11 months ago. They're all playing on different teams. So you have to give them time to be able to build that chemistry, that camaraderie. But the risky part of that is sometimes players just don't fit together. But for Fordham, you know, it seems like they're on the other side of that risk, that they can play very well together, and we're seeing it these past few games and certainly tonight.
Taya Davis, Taylor Donaldson, Matilda Flood, Kayla Harris, and Amy Hayford round out the 5 that are currently on the court for the Fordham Rams. Still waiting for the Billikens from St. Louis to leave their huddle.
Seems to be a trend tonight. They've been a little late to get back on the court throughout this game.
If you're the second coach ever with 2 different programs to go to back-to-back tournaments, you can do whatever you want. Nonetheless, Fordham 65-53 lead, 12-point lead, just under 5 minutes to go in this game. Seemingly a commanding role in this game right now.
With just 4 minutes, 56 seconds left. Just a couple more baskets, I think, safely puts this lead away. But as it stands now, St. Louis, the door is still slightly cracked for them, but they're going to need to start something quick offensively.
St. Louis starting off with the ball out of the timeout. Calhoun dribbling to the left wing. In the left corner, Gray now drifting toward the left wing. Now a pass to Kennedy on the right wing. Now a pass right outside the paint from Simon. Back out to Calhoun. Top of the arc. Now to Gray around the left elbow. Posting up on Hayford. Trying to get it toward the rim. Put up a shot. No good. But a foul on the way up. Another shooting foul on the Rams. And once again, St. Louis going back to the free throw line.
Couple players.
I feel like I've said that a lot
yes,
so far.
Yes, because you have. Yeah. That is exactly why. Couple players in foul trouble. It's been decently distributed as far as fouls go. Mandy McGurk and Amina Lee with 3 apiece. Donaldson with 2. Harris and Davis both with 2. But nobody in that 4, that kind of red range you really want to start being more conservative with.
Gray 2 of 2 so far from the line tonight. As she misses that one. Made the first, missed the second. And now there's a bit of a discrepancy on whose ball it is. They'll give it to the home team Rams.
St. Louis kind of throwing whatever they have at Fordham now, going into a full court press we haven't seen so far yet today.
Yeah, Taya Davis and Matilda Flood going to try and break that press. Taya Davis is eventually going to get into the front court, past almost everyone, going through the left lane, past to Harris inside. Tried to put up a left-handed sky hook, no good. But Taylor Donaldson receives the offensive rebound and brings it all the way back out to the top of the arc. Now Harris has it on the left wing, dribble handoff. Going baseline side, Taylor Donaldson tried to make a bounce pass inside to Harris. Eventually, Donaldson gets a pass inside and finishes. One of the more confusing plays of the season, but there's no other way to explain that aside from Taylor Donaldson.
Back to the basket, had no idea where she was until she turned around. Prayer of a shot that goes in.
Harris received a bounce pass inside, and she seemingly sent the exact same one to Taylor Donaldson inside. St. Louis working offensively. Gray trying to make a bullet pass inside. Couldn't quite get it to Kennedy. Now Martinez tries to get it to her, and that'll go over Kennedy's head right out of bounds and right out of harm's way of the cheerleaders as well.
Julia Martinez vouching, praying to the refs. Well, I mean, not praying, but pleading rather to the refs. I think that's the word I was looking for there. Thought it was tipped. Referees disagree. Fordham ball.
67-54 Rams leading over St. Louis, the defending Atlantic 10 champions. 3:22 to go. Amy Hayford on the left wing. Now Taya Davis has it on the deep left wing, receiving orders right next to her coach, Brissette Mitchell. Now guarded all the way up by Calhoun. No space to breathe. Taya Davis going through the right lane, using a Euro step to get to the rim, missing on the layup. Now St. Louis a chance offensively. Martinez pushing the pace. Pass behind her to Kennedy. Her three, no good from the deep right wing. And a foul is called under the basket. That one will be on St. Louis. And the ball go back the other way. The Rams will get it with a 13-point lead.
Fordham doing their best to slam the door close of any potential comeback for St. Louis, and it's seeming like they've done exactly that. And I think this is a good time really to talk about who their next opponent is going to be, because it's Davidson, and you might be thinking like, just blew out Davidson a few days ago. And you know what? This Davidson team has gotten worse since then, because they had to actually forfeit their game a couple days ago. So they
picked up two walk-on players and still didn't have enough players to play in the game.
So as far as what this Davidson team that Ford was going to play on Saturday is going to look like, it's really anyone's guess.
It's a toss-up.
So Fordham is able to get a win today. I don't want to say Davidson will be a layup, because you don't really know what this team's going to look like, and Fordham is also has a knack for being unpredictable, but could be looking at a 5-game winning streak here soon.
And Fordham, every game being a must-win now for the rest of the season. A travel called in the backcourt by Taya Davis. Another turnover for Davis.
Take the bad with the good with Taya Davis. The good being her exceptional vision on the court. The bad being she leads the A-10 in turnovers.
Calhoun on the right wing now. On the right elbow to Simon. Dribble handoff Martinez. Tried to get it in the left corner to McMakin. Couldn't get it to her. Tipped out of bounds into the friendly confines of Rose Hill Gym.
Matilda Flood doing her best defensive back impression there with the tip.
What do I say, Julia?
What do you say?
Matilda Flood.
Doing Matilda Flood things.
Thank you. You're the first one to finish it. Every time I gotta...
Listen, unmatched chemistry on the air.
I appreciate you. Nonetheless, Calhoun passing it inside to Kennedy, getting in with some creative footwork and finishing around the rim. Coming from the left block, finishing on the right side of the rim. Nifty work inside. Taya Davis getting Martinez to jump, now going through the left lane, coughing it up right around the baseline, going out of bounds, and it'll stay with the Rams.
That's why having Taya Davis with the ball in her hands during a press is so good for Fordham, because she has the ability to find just about anyone on the court, which makes her a threat, but she also has unmatched ball handling skills, which also makes her a threat against a press.
McGurk trying to get it in, seems to be struggling, eventually gets it in with a lob pass to Flood on the left wing. Now Donaldson has it on the right wing, no good on the three, off the feed from the top of the arc from Hayford. Now Martinez moving with St. Louis in transition the other way. McMakin thought about the right wing three, decided against it. Now Calhoun, top of the arc, deciding to drive in the middle of the paint, back out to McMakin. Now Martinez in the corner, down on the right block in the post. Made a pass from the post. Kennedy tried to get it into Martinez, eventually got it into her, missed on the layup, and now Fordham back the other way. Matilda Flood all alone to finish with the right hand.
Feels like St. Louis is waving the white flag here as they didn't even try and guard Matilda Flood, streaking down the court for the wide open layup.
69-56 Rams leading over St. Louis, 1:29 to go in this matchup. Fordham firmly in the driver's seat right now. And I believe a foul is called there. Kennedy trying to get inside in the middle of the paint, but few arms getting in the way, and a foul called. Once again, St. Louis going to the line, which I've said a lot.
And it's not uncommon, and it's certainly not the first time a broadcaster has said this about St. Louis, as I mentioned, up there nationally and certainly first in the Atlantic 10 in free throw shot per game.
Yeah, and 36th in the country in free throw percentage as well.
So they get to the line and make it.
Yeah, not only do they get there, they cash in on it as well. Second one is good for Kennedy. 69-58, only an 11-point lead for the Rams, but only 1:10 to go in this game. Flood went all the way down the right lane, seemingly pushed on the way to the cup, but finishes nonetheless. Up top, Simon looking around now. Calhoun has it, left wing. In the corner, Martinez. On the baseline, Kennedy tried to get it inside to Martinez in the middle of the paint, couldn't. And now Fordham all alone in transition. Amy Hayford finishing that one with no one in sight after the pretty pass from Matilda Flood.
Matilda Flood making the extra pass there when she could have had the layup for herself. Finds a more open Amy Hayford under the basket.
Lee screaming. You could hear from over here. This team excited going into the timeout, and it can show why this group has won 4 in a row after this one. It's 73-58 Rams with 51 seconds left in this game. We're going to take a little break here from the Bronx. We'll be right back. Actually, we shouldn't take a break. They're calling whistles already, so we'll actually keep it here.
Seems to be a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, no need to call the promo. Everyone's standing along, so we'll keep it here.
They'd rather listen to us anyway than a promo.
True, and also my curiosity getting the better of me, Julia. Is there one person that has either surprised you or stuck out Fordham-wise today that you really didn't expect, but has actually been playing some very good ball?
Listen, because they've all. I think I'm more surprised at the fact that everyone has been playing well.
That's the good point, and that was a point that Coach Brissette Mitchell stressed in the pregame as McMakin cashes in on a long three from the left wing. Taylor Donaldson picks it up, seemingly in transition after the press, but a foul is called as she tried to cross over using the left lane. That foul will be on number 45, Gray, Brooklyn Gray. Taylor Donaldson take it out right in front of her head coach on the sideline, Brissette Mitchell. McGurk got it on in the inbound. McMakin with a reach-in foul right at the top of the arc.
Certainly an interesting strategy, down 12 with 43 seconds left to intentionally foul there.
Yeah, still not in the bonus. They need to foul once again. McGurk has it, top of the arc, guarded by McMakin. Now Donaldson, guarded by Gray. Driving inside, floater right in the middle of the paint. No good on the floater. Back out to McGurk. And once again, they have it. Amy Hayford, nice pass on the left block and a finish for Amina Lee.
Putting a stamp on what's been an excellent offensive performance. 75 points for Fordham in this game. That's not something we are typically accustomed to saying the word 70 as far as points go for Fordham, but man, they have played excellent offensive basketball. It was a little shaky there in the third quarter, but they've really bounced back and played a really solid fourth quarter.
I think the cherry on the cake was the Lee Amy Hayford side. I don't want to call it a chest bump, a side bump maybe. They were fired up after that timeout. They've been fired up this whole fourth quarter, and they seem like they're having a lot of fun right now.
Somebody asked head coach Brissette Mitchell before the St. Bonaventure game, what does the best Fordham Rams team look like to you? It's a very open-ended question. I believe the broadcaster was looking for something analytical and basketball-related, but Coach Bridgette Mitchell took that in another direction and said, this team is the best when they're high-fiving and chest bumping, and that is what we're seeing today. So I bet head coach Bridgette Mitchell is ecstatic to see the way this team is performing today.
Yeah, the high fives and the side bumps and the smiles, it's all happiness over there on the Fordham Rams side, and quite the opposite on the St. Louis bench. A lot of downtrodden and tired faces over there. A real stark opposite between the two.
Got to think what the score would be if St. Louis cashed in on those open opportunities there in the third quarter.
That's a good point. 61-75, 14-point lead for the Rams over St. Louis. 25 seconds to go, and a steal off the inbound from Matilda Flood. She'll try to dribble it out, but a foul committed by Martinez, a reach-in foul, and I believe they're going to go to the line. That'll put Fordham in the bonus. Matilda Flood going to the line.
Again, not too familiar with this strategy, I have to admit.
Oh, actually not in the bonus yet. They'll be taking it out on the sideline right in front of their own bench.
To be fair for the viewers, listeners at home, they were fully and totally lined up for a free throw.
Yeah,
there.
like they were about to take a free throw, and then they
said, never mind.
Lee under the basket, back out to McGurk on the left wing. A foul called. That one's going to be on Kyla McMakin. 16 seconds to go, 75-61 Rams.
I wonder if there's any bettors or guessers out there how long they think the next 16 seconds will actually take to run off the clock.
Could be a while, Moss, as McGurk makes the first. She has 3 points tonight, 3 rebounds and 4 assists. Kind of doing it everywhere so far tonight as she makes the second as well, moving to 5 points on the night. Martinez trying to maybe get one more possession for St. Louis as a three is good. A long-range three from the right wing from Kennedy. And another intentional foul from McMakin. Still a 13-point deficit with 9 seconds left. Not really sure if St. Louis thinks they can claw back in this one, but maybe it's just a principle thing, Moss.
I mean, I guess. I think that's got to be the only potential. I don't know. I'm not sure how, but it also feels like McMakin has fouled about 12 times in the past 3 minutes, but she is actually at 4, so she still has one left until she's fouled out.
St. Louis moving fast. Martinez getting it to McMakin on the left wing quick. Couldn't get it to her, and I don't think they're going to try and intentionally foul again. Taylor Donaldson will run out the clock with the ball in her hands, and that'll be it from the Rose Hill Gym. This Fordham Ram team continues their win streak, now at 4 games with the 79-64 win over the St. Louis Billikens.
Fordham now leapfrogs over St. Louis for that 9 spot in the A-10, tied with Davidson, who coincidentally enough they are about to play on Saturday, a shorthanded Davidson squad as we alluded to before. So for Fordham, it is about all rainbows and sunshines as you can get at the perfect time.
The perfect time is right to be playing your best brand of basketball, and they're doing that. Fordham ends up getting the victory. That's it for us here in the Bronx. Fordham defeats St. Louis 79-64. Fordham moves to 11-15 on the year. They'll be back in action this weekend on Saturday afternoon at Davidson. That one's at noon. Thanks to Ralph Barbieri on production and Joe Henry on highlights and engineering. And last but not least, of course, my partner Julia Moss. Just for a second, would like to talk about Julia, obviously a senior leaving this year. This was her last game broadcasting in Rose Hill Gym. So if you would just like to say a few words before we come off the air. Obviously, over the last 2 years since you came here, you have cemented a legacy for yourself. And it's at least a chapter of it is culminating here. So, yeah, the floor is yours, Julia.
Appreciate it, Chris. I've said a lot of things about the Rose Hill Gym in the past 2 years, both positive and negative. But
sure,
as I sit here right now, there is absolutely no gym that has the aura, the historic vibe that the Rose Hill Gym has. It's insane how quick this season really has passed. It's come and gone so quickly, but as I sit here now, it has just been an incredible, incredible journey. This gym has a lot of memories in it. I'm just honored to have broadcasted a game here.
Well, Julia, we thank you, and what a career behind the microphone for you in the Rose Hill Gym, and more games to come for sure. Nonetheless, we'll send it back to our Rose Hill studios with Ashley Wendt and Merrick Rhodes for the one-on-one post-game report. Again, final score from the Rose Hill Gym tonight at Fordham University, 79-64. Fordham defeats St. Louis. Have a safe night, everybody.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Welcome into the one-on-one post-game report. I'm Merrick Rhodes, joined here in the studio by my co-host Ashley Wendt. In a battle of A10 foes, the Rams and the Billikens, Fordham walks out of this matchup with a much-needed win, 79-64. They improved to 11-15 on the season and 6-9 in A10 play. Amy Hayford was the leading scorer for Fordham, finishing the night with 22 points. And I think fittingly, we should start our conversation with Amy Hayford as well as Taylor Donaldson, as they were the two keys to this Fordham victory, finishing with a 22-point night for Hayford and a 21-point night for Donaldson. There's really no doubt that this Fordham team runs through those two, and those two have been such an impressive duo. How important do you think these two are in this four-game winning streak now that they've reached and down the stretch into the A10 tournament? How important are these two for this team?
I think they're incredibly important and crucial to this team. You know, they can lead, they can score, they know how to play the game. And I think to hold on to this four-game win streak, I think going into the next games with like Davidson and St. Joseph's and all of them, I think that they came back over a tough season on and off again for the team. And I think this game really just switched that for the team. And I think that Hayford and Donaldson were at the center of that, and I think that's how they will be moving forward. They're just too crucial to the team. They know how to play the game. They know how to get into their opponent's mind, and it really shows in the stats.
Yeah, definitely. Those two are at the top of the list, but one of the things we talked about at halftime, and something I feel like that has been talked about throughout the season for this Fordham women's basketball team, is they need help outside of those two, and tonight they really got it. I mean, you look across the scoreboard, Matilda Flood, 8 points, McGurk, 7 points, Amina Lee, 9 points, and someone who I want to highlight is Kayla Harris. I mean, coming into tonight, averaged 11.7 minutes per game, the third fewest on the team. And tonight she came in and played 19 minutes. She scored 8 points, 4 for 7 from the field, 6 rebounds. So it's really refreshing to see some scoring outside of just Donaldson and Hayford, and I think that has been crucial as well to this win streak, as you've seen contributions from players like Taya Davis. Obviously, not the best night for her tonight with 4 points, only 1 for 4 from the field, but she's been on fire recently. It's okay to have a night off when the rest of the team around you picks it up. But I think the next thing that we need to talk about is just how big of a matchup this was for Fordham. Obviously, sitting at 9th in the A10 coming in, St. Louis sitting just 1 spot ahead of them at 8th. And with this win, of course, Fordham jumping them as they continue their stretch run. What is it about this Fordham team as they close out this A10 schedule that has led them to climb the rankings the way they have? Slowly but surely, they're fighting their way back. Julia mentioned it. They started 1-7 in the A10. They've been 5-2 since. So do you think it's as simple as this group is starting to come together, a lot of unfamiliar faces at the start of the season? Is it as simple as Bridgette Mitchell getting this group into a groove and really coaching them up and getting them together as a unit? Is it as simple as that?
I think there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of changes happened throughout the season, a lot of things that they had to get used to, but I think like one of the main things that I'm seeing as the season goes on is that Fordham really takes the time to learn about their opponents. And I think that's what shows in the past 4 games with their win streak, is that they're really taking the time to study their opponent's defensive and offensive sides, and it's showing on the court. I also think they're learning a lot how to play together. I think, they in the earlier part of the season, they kind of danced around, missing shots and turnovers, or just kind of just laying all of the pressure on like 1 or 2 key players. But I think, this game really showed that they have the ability to work together. And I don't think it was a very simple journey. I think it took a lot of losses and learning for them to get to this point. But I think that they're learning, and it's showing on the court.
Yeah, I think Coach Mitchell deserves a lot of credit with the way this team has kind of flipped it, because a few weeks ago, me and, of course, the great Ben Oppenheimer were working on the women's game when they played Richmond, and it was kind of a similar situation where Richmond has just an abundance of women who can score at will, and it didn't work out as well for them. Finished the game losing 79-60, and Richmond really shot the lights out, and I think that's the difference is that Fordham didn't let St. Louis shoot the lights out tonight. There was a lot of mistakes on the St. Louis end between sloppy ball handling and just missing shots. I mean, they really just could not make shots. I mean, throughout the game, they shot a total of 34% from the field, 26% from three. And if you look at quarter by quarter, it really, like, the first quarter, it was a very competitive quarter, but from there on out, St. Louis really wasn't hitting their shots. Fordham in the second half struggled at times to hit their shots, but by and large, it was much more of a struggle for St. Louis throughout the game. So it's nice to see Fordham take advantage of these mistakes and limit this high-powered offense on St. Louis. But the second half, the third quarter, got a little shaky, but ultimately ended up not being a problem. But before we wrap things up, I think it's important that we mention, obviously, how important of a win this is for Fordham in the A-10, and look ahead a little bit, because there are only 3 games left in this season as the A-10 tournament approaches. Obviously, a huge victory to knock off the defending champions in the A-10. But now's where it gets interesting, because you got your 4-game winning streak, albeit it wasn't necessarily the toughest competition, but 4 games is 4 games. But now heading into this stretch, you go on the road against 18-7 Davidson. They're obviously filled with problems, as Julia and Chris talked about wrapping up the show. So you'd hope to win that one. But then the next one is the big one. They're going on the road to St. Joe's, who's sitting at 24-3 right now. They're 13-2 in the A-10. And the thing that scares me a little bit, Ashley, is that those 2 games are on the road, and this Fordham squad is an abysmal 1-10 on the road this season. So how confident are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 as we close out this season? Obviously, the final game being against LaSalle, who is 7-9, 4-11 in the A-10. So you'd hope that game's a victory. So confidence on a scale of 1 to 10 as we head down the A-10 schedule stretch and into the A-10 tournament. What's your confidence?
I would say I'm sitting at a solid 7. As you mentioned, Davidson has had some problems the past couple of weeks. The one that I'm most worried about is St. Joseph's. I think it can go either way, despite the stats of Fordham on the road. St. Joseph's just lost an 11-game win streak, and so they can either be in a rut or they can come back stronger than ever and try to make up for that. And I think between the 3 teams, I think I'm most worried for St. Joseph's, but Fordham's been playing really well, and so I'm sitting at a solid 7 right now for confidence.
I like that. I'd say I'm probably right around there. Maybe a little less confident, just based on the ulterior factor, that the fact that Fordham is fighting from the bottom rather than kind of having a struggle, dropping them a little bit, staying in the middle. But now they're getting to the point where no longer can we be fighting from the bottom. You got to be getting to the top. It's been talked about all season about the moral victories here and there when you're playing competitive against these top teams, but at a point, moral victories need to start turning into actual victories, and we're seeing that happen right before our eyes, which is very refreshing. And once you start seeing these wins go in the column, confidence builds, and there's really no better time than now to build up that confidence as you head into the A-10 tournament. And look at last year. Look at St. Louis. They weren't necessarily going to be the favorites going into the tournament, but they put together a run when they got there. They were competitive, and they won the A-10. So, it's going to be an interesting stretch down the way for Fordham. They have 3 interesting games, one extremely tough game, and two games that you really can't slip up. I mean, with the way they set themselves up with that 1-7 start to the A-10 tournament, you really can't have a lot of slip-ups down the stretch. But I would say that is just about going to wrap it up for us here at the Rose Hill Studios. Once again, your final score in this one is Fordham 74, St. Louis 64. The Rams will be back in action this Saturday on the road at Davidson. You can catch that game at noon on the WFUV Sports YouTube page. I have been Merrick Rhodes. On updates today, we had Ashley Wendt. Your play-by-play and color commentary for tonight's game was Chris Carrino and Julia Moss. Our producer is Ralph Barbieri. Our engineer today was Joe Henry. The sports director of WFUV Sports is Bobby Chaffardini. Fordham Women's Basketball is a production of WFUV Sports.